What is up, everyone? What is up? Happy Sunday! Everybody been doing some interesting tinkering projects? I got a couple that I'm actually going to be showing off. I was actually up late last night trying to figure it out. Also was trying to figure out why my, stream notifications were not kicking off like I thought they would. Guess we have to check that. So I did set the interval. Okay. Settings check interval. Interesting. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. Alright. I guess we'll cross that bridge later. Although, let's see. It did just check, but don't know. Wait, what? It's showing a weird time for the little stuff. Anyway, we got a project that I pretty much wrapped up a good chunk of it right before we started streaming. So I've been running into an issue where a lot of people like Discord bots and stuff like that, and a lot of them can offer quite a bit of interesting functionality, and a lot of it's useful, but the one problem I keep running into is some of the ones I would really like to use don't seem to be maintained that well. I was running into issues where the, capability for them to run would be unreliable, or they just wouldn't work. They wouldn't do all the features that I needed it to do. So I decided I'm on a journey to make a bunch of my own notifications and bots and everything. So I actually made my first proper Discord bot. So what this one does, kind of tempted to just, hold on. So what this one does is it goes through my Discord, it monitors a bunch of news feeds, posts in there. It also does a pull from NOAA for solar weather patterns, which affects ham radio operators. And then I added a few little fun things in there, like it does XKCD comics and a bunch of other things. What's up, Hans? So, yeah. Any updates on the mini laptop? Not yet. I've been working on a bunch of other projects. I want to get to it. The issue that's killing me right now is these tariffs, man. There's a lot of uncertainty around all the costs going around, and the board I would have to order is from Germany. And if you weren't aware, there's going to be like a 20 to 30% tariff on the stuff coming from Europe, from what I've been understanding. So, yeah. That's gonna be a pain in the butt for a lot of my projects. I've had to pull back on a lot of the things I wanted to tinker with. Aren't partnered with them? No, I'm not. I am not partnered with them. That's one of the projects that I bought with my own money, because I really like the project. I do have the mini laptop, and I do use it. It's in my bag almost every day. It's just not fully upgraded to the point that I want it to be, is the only concern. So, yeah. There's a few people that I am partnered with. That's not one of the companies, but I don't necessarily need to be partnered with a company for me to actually want to use their product and, endorse them, of course. But if you haven't been in the Discord lately, today there was a new upgrade. Trying to run up a real bag next year. Yeah, I feel you there. Trying to see if this bot's gonna post in a second. It should. This bot's been pretty reliable, but I just forgot to reboot it, I guess, because what's happening right now is it's running every 5 minutes. I set it to be like every 2 or 3, but for some reason I forgot. you work a 9 to 5 or full-time content creator? I work a 9 to 5. I am not a full-time content creator. Content creation is just a side thing. So, let's get into, if you weren't in my Discord lately, I announced a bot that I finally released, and this has been several days of me tinkering and building this behind the scenes. I call it Penguin Overlord. And the goal thing is, if anyone wants to see it, tinker with it themselves, it's open source. I've tried to write up the documentation as much as possible. If you don't know me by now, I hate documentation. So I'm trying to make sure it's up to snuff. I already found a few errors in there. But it's a little beast of a script. So hold on. Yep, there we are. There's a lot of pieces in here. It's all Dockerized, running on a Raspberry Pi 4. But it is also constantly doing a bunch of things in the background. So one, oh good, so it did finally post, cool. So Stream Demon, that's been one of my automations I made, because a lot of the live stream notifications were not working, and they also didn't work with Kick. And some kind of worked with YouTube, but not to the way I wanted. So those are great. We've got another project that I just released, although you don't see it yet here because it hasn't activated. I got to get a YouTube video out for that. It's called Boon Demon. I can show you that one. Let's go into my many projects that I've worked on. Boon Demon. So the idea here is this is going to monitor my YouTube for when a video comes out, not a live stream, and then posts it to Discord, Matrix, Mastodon, and Blue Sky. Just like Stream Demon does. I've been trying to get it working with TikTok, but oh my god, TikTok's API is one of the jankiest things ever. And let me tell you, I fully understand now why a lot of people have not been making new enhancements and features and all that for TikTok. Because you go on Twitch, or even Kick, or YouTube, you find tons of streamers have all these little cool, little interesting upgrades and things like that. Like, I even have a thermal printer over here when somebody subs or donates or something like that that's going off for Twitch, Kick, and I think YouTube for different things. TikTok's API is the jankiest thing I have dealt with. I've dealt with a lot of janky products, but oh my god, their API was never designed to understand what creators do. This is where you know TikTok is out of touch with a lot of creators. Because a lot of creators like to create their own automations or, you know, enhance it for everyone else, but I can't figure out TikTok's API to the point I had to... Like, if you go open the TikTok API, they do have an API, by the way. A lot of the, it's designed for, like, oh, you gotta, like, submit a privacy policy and all of this stuff that no other platform requires. They don't even make it conducive to, like, running your own local automations like I've done with Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. And even then, the documentation is jank. Like, I can get it to show up the OAuth screen to log in. That's another thing. You have to set it to log in with your account like that. Like, I can't even get it working in a sandbox. It's just really janky. I tried scraping the website, scraping my profile so that I could, you know, at least monitor when a video comes out. That was unreliable because for some reason on desktop, it doesn't always load my profile, and then I have to reload the page. It's just, yeah. So I'm going to be tinkering with trying to get TikTok's API working, but I wouldn't guarantee that's happening. But BoonTube's up. Anyway, the Discord has a few new features. So we have Penguin Overlord. So I used to have a bot in here. I say used to because it was a bot that I actually was running for years. There was a cybersecurity bot. It's technically still there. I'm removing some features here and there. And there was also a tech news bot. So if we go up... Wait, no. Did I? Oh, I deleted that channel. But there was a tech news bot, I think it was Tattle, and apparently it stopped working in May. So I stopped getting tech news inside of here. Oh, there's an issue. No, I fixed that, I think. We'll have to see. But anyway, the idea is we have general news coming in. We have your common vulnerabilities and exploits. What else do you stream on? Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and TikTok. Twitch is the one it's most optimized for. So we have common vulnerabilities and exploits. This is from Ubuntu security notices. There's also ones coming from CISA and stuff. There's also a cybersecurity news feed over here. So as you can see, I disabled the other bot I was using. And I've got more news sources now than that did. That only had 6 sources, and I think I have like a dozen cybersecurity sources. There's a total of 92 news sources in there. We have a channel dedicated to Apple, Android / Google News over here. We have a tech news channel. We have a gaming news channel. So we're doing that as well. And then also, we're tracking US legislation and the European Union legislation. And one of my members of my community also suggested if I could do UK Parliament following their legislation and all that. So I'll eventually get that working. I just got the RSS feed stuff from them, I think, a little bit earlier. Yeah, so I will be trying to get that around. But it also does a few other things. So I'm going to go to bot commands so I don't spam the rest of chat here. Okay, so we have a few fun things in there. One, there's a feature called Tech Quote. So you can, there's like over 600 tech quotes in here. It's a fun thing. If you go to the help, you can find there's a lot of features built into there. So we have comics and quotes, news tracking, ham radio, aviation, signal intelligence, events, and utilities. So the events one, there's a CSV I have bringing in. Hold on. Trying to remember. How did I set the command for that? This is why we have documentation. So if we go to all events, you can see there's different ham radio and cybersecurity events. It's got listed. These are just some that I, happen to find. As I, get dates and stuff confirmed for other events, I plan to update them. So you even have like DEF CON 34 over here. We also have, we have Tech Quote. We have Man Page to randomly tell you Linux commands. We also have Patch Gremlin, which tells you funny little things over there, like your system is only secure as your oldest unpatched package. So it's quips on that. We have the Fortune program over here, which is little cybersecurity bits of wisdom. An effective security program requires people, processes, and technology in that order. We also have a useful tool for ham radio operators. So this is the solar weather calendar. Solar weather forecast. So it'll tell you right now, and this pulls it straight from NOAA. So you're getting this from the National Oceanic Atmosphere Association. I think that's what it stands for. It tells you if there's radio blackouts, solar radiation, geomagnetic storms, the A index, the K index, solar flux, and right now, the band conditions. So like right now, 160 meter, 80 meter, and 40 meter should have pretty good capability to DX. But when you go to 30 and such, it'll be a little less, optimal. So, and then on top of that, we've got signal intelligence. Hold on. I switched around the commands. That's right. I was like, that's going to be easier. Nah. So we've got, we've got ham radio facts. We've got little frequency tidbits so that you can find out interesting things on the ham radio waves. So if you're new to ham radio and you're looking what to do, you know, it'll give you little tidbits there. It does it randomly. You also have the aviation side over here. This side I'm still kind of improving a little bit, but you can, you know, get some aircraft facts over here. World War II fighter icon, the P-51 Mustang. So, little fun little things over there. I'm gonna be building this out more to be replacing some of the serious bots. I just wanted to see the capabilities with it. You can even get squawk codes. So you can punch in a squawk code. Eventually I'll be building in more features for it so that you can actually have it process. I may actually, Yitz has a deep signal intelligence thing. Not signal intelligence, deep intelligence thing that he's built with LLMs and everything, that it spends a few minutes and actually processes dozens of sources and everything like that. So this has been a project I've been working on, and it's a lot. There's definitely a lot. This took me a couple of days, mostly because I am not too familiar with how Discord does things. So it was kind of an interesting project to start learning on. My hope is that eventually I will mirror some of this work over to Matrix. I don't know how much of it I will be able to, but there'll be more features coming about. There's even some administration capabilities. But if you're curious about it, you can definitely go check out the GitHub. I try to open source as much as possible. And then I've been working on a few YouTube videos, so there should be some coming out soon. I did record one. I just got to make the card and description and all that. There's another video that's going to be talking about the Ernst & Young breach. If you're not familiar with Ernst & Young, they are one of the big four accounting firms. Companies literally hire them to audit them and give them certification for their compliance on all sorts of security stuff. So the question becomes, who's auditing the auditors? Yeah. Also, I got this little toy over here. This was a fun little thing. So, Davoom gave me this to try it out. As you can see, it's responding to my voice. Hold on, let me see if I can. Yep. You can set a different background over there, so I have it looking like a DOS clock. It's a clock and it's a speaker. And the speaker's actually pretty good on this. I was actually surprised. So obviously it's battery powered. There is a micro SD card slot in here, so you can have music. And you can actually use this as a speaker. Like plug it in over USB and use it as a speaker that way. What keyboard do I use? I use the System 76 Launch Heavy over here and the Launch over there. At work, I have a DOS Keyboard Pro 6, which honestly is the most satisfying out of all of them, but I like the System 76 keyboard the most. So there's that. I also have a Keychron something upstairs, just a cheap one. I like my mechanicals. I'm not as much of a mechanical snob where it's like, oh, it has to be this and that and that. I like the System 76 launch keyboards because the format is really nice, the layout's really nice, it's open source. I love the fact that it has a USB-C and USB-A hub, so from one cable I have 4 different ports, so from here I can easily plug in my YubiKey, keep it there, so whenever I need it I just tap it, makes everything convenient, as well as when I need to plug in occasional devices. And the MX Browns, it's not MX Browns, but the Kale Brown switches on it work pretty nicely. But I do have to say the DOS keyboard with the Cherry MX Browns that I have is one of the nicest feeling. The Pro 6 is one of the most, discreet looking keyboards. Like, it's one of those you don't know it's a mechanical or that keyboard, because you look at it, it's just got white backlighting, it's a black keyboard. It's very, very discreet. I like it, because it fits in with the office stuff, and nobody knows until they actually pick it up. So yeah, the DOS Keyboard Pro 6 is what I use at work. The System 76 Launch Heavy is what I use over here, and the Launch over there from System 76, the only difference between the two is the Launch Heavy has a numpad. Thank you for the follow. I don't know how to say your name. TIWTXH. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, so I've been working on coding, all that stuff. I was up to like 3, 4 in the morning last night because I was bound and determined to at least get the Discord bot somewhat functional. I will be honest and say GitHub Copilot Pro, along with Claude, has been really, really beneficial to speed up a lot of my projects. But I will also say this. I understand the hate for vibe coding, because if you don't know what you're doing, whereas I do, you can make a whole bunch of issues. What is it made in? What the projects I do? Most of my stuff is in Python and Bash. Those are the two languages I basically do and I can understand. Oh, and I also released my script that I've been using and improving over the past few months for my local system here. I will show that to you. So this is called, I just call it Pipewire Sync. So basically the idea here is it makes a combined audio sync for all the devices on your system. So that being, so as I said, this also acts as a speaker over here, right? So not only am I able to output the audio to the stream box over here through its capture card on HDMI, because I use a 2PC setup, and hear my audio as well from this machine, I can also have it go into other sources over here. So okay, hold on. Is it still connected to my phone? I bet it's still connected to my phone. Bear with me. But I've been iterating on it slowly because I ran into some issues with it being consistent. Yeah, it was still on there. So we'll disconnect that. Okay. What the hell? I want to study SMTH and cyber. What job is safe from AI and have high percentage to land a job as junior? I mean, AI isn't going to replace a lot of jobs. What it's going to end up doing is augmenting and altering a lot of jobs. So I've been using LLM and AI to enhance a lot of my job for scripting and stuff, as I've talked about. Had to unpair that. There we go. How are you gonna work? When it comes to, you know... Oh, right. There's no audio coming through this desktop. It's coming through that computer. I'm a moron. We'll get back to the audio thing in a second. Let me finish this thought. So, when it comes to cyber, if you're literally just thinking that you're going to go straight from school to cyber, if that's what you're asking about, it's not impossible, but it's improbable. The reason being, a lot of cybersecurity jobs, most of them, want to have IT experience. So you're going to need to have a few years of IT experience, 1 to 3, and then you can start hopping over. AI isn't really going to replace a lot of cybersecurity jobs, maybe on the lower, like, SOC Tier 1 things, but even then, a lot of them are set up. I can save money now and everyone can eat. Get money in the daytime, even kinda when I sleep. Wake up to getting bread, bitch, I do this for the streets. ADHD. Thank you for that sub, Just Dev. I love the fact that I have that thermal printer now that can print out when people sub and cheer and all that. How'd you baby mom? But what I was saying is, a lot of people, I think, are overplaying the impact of AI and LLM. Yes, you're hearing a lot of executives say, well, we're going to replace the workforce with AI and all this stuff. We've seen that blow up in their face a lot of times. Who was it? I think like Duolingo and a few other companies ended up like trying to go more AI, and it ended up burning them. Like there's been companies that have tried to replace their entire 1 year and 3 months. Yeah. But there's been a lot of companies that have tried to completely replace employees with AI, and they've burned themselves. The reality is, I can see where in most cases we're going to have a human-in-the-loop system. What that means is that AI, LLM is going to be doing a lot of the processing there, but a human is still going to be there to oversee and execute the final action. That's how cybersecurity and a lot of IT operations are going to be. Let's be honest here. When it comes to a lot of the IT jobs, if you're hands-on, you're not going to be replaced because a robot still can't unplug an Ethernet cable and stuff like that as easily. They can't rack hardware and things like that. So I think the idea that AI is going to, remove the workforce and all that is a little overplayed. Now, if you're in a job where you're doing repetitive tasks, potentially. That's where automation can potentially take your job. But jobs that require you to think like in IT and cybersecurity, not going to happen as much. I soft locked the POS at the grocery store next to my work. How'd you do that? But yeah, if anything, learn about LLMs and AI right now, because a lot of jobs are going to want you to use that. I know a lot of coding jobs right now are actually at the point where they want you to use LLMs a lot more. Like, Yit's got a full stack, he's a full stack developer. He's getting complaints from management basically that you're not using Claude enough. They're like judging them by how many tokens they use, and he's apparently human coding too much. And this goes into another point where I was saying a little bit earlier. Vibe coding in and of itself isn't bad, as long as you are vibe checking. The problem is, a lot of developers don't even know the proper ways to do things, and they're not checking. And also, like, some people will hate on me because I lean on Copilot and Claude to expedite a lot of my coding and stuff like that. But I also catch it in a lot of mistakes and issues. Let's put it this way. If you actually let an LLM to its own devices to make a thing, it may make a thing, but it's not going to do it in the best way possible. Like with Stream Daemon. It wouldn't have done Doppler secrets management. It wouldn't have modularized the code. It wouldn't have Dockerized it. It wouldn't have run it asynchronously. It wouldn't have, I think I said secrets management. There's a lot of things it wouldn't have done. And it would have also been using old, outdated packages for the software libraries. So, yeah. Vibe coding is not necessarily bad as long as you know what you're doing. The problem is too many people are relying on AI and LLMs and all that without trusting it, and they're taking it as a source of authority. That's where I think we're going to have real problems, especially as this next generation comes into the workforce, because I've seen the case where too many people are going to ChatGPT or Claude, asking it for something and thinking of it as the authority, that it's completely right on this thing. I've seen it where I've had, coworkers write documentation, and I'm like, this is not even freaking relevant to our environment. There's one thing where you're using it as a crutch versus a tool. Using LLMs as a tool, totally fine. Using them as a crutch is going to get you in trouble. So that's where I think, people are overplaying a lot of, LLM and AI impacts. Right now, it's overhyped. I will be honest, it's overhyped. It's in a bubble. We've talked about that in plenty of other streams. Because it's basically, unlike cryptocurrency, which, yes, there are scams and all that stuff in there. I'm not going to go down that route. It is really a house of cards. Not necessarily a Ponzi or anything like that. But we're seeing the entirety of this AI boom in similar to the dot-com boom. Lots of companies are making money right now, but it's not going to last forever. And if you look at the cash flow, where the money's going for all these things, a lot of the AI companies that we know of right now aren't going to exist in a few years from now when that bubble bursts. But I can tell you NVIDIA is going to be making money hand over fist in the meantime. Because let's remember, when the gold rush happened in the 1800s, it wasn't the miners, the processors that made the most amount of money. It was the people selling the shovels and the equipment. And that's where NVIDIA is making money, because NVIDIA's coming in and even offering discounts for people to buy their GPUs, which then drives their stock price up. And like this, it's this whole like moving money around kind of thing to do it. Now, LLMs do have their use case. Like, I use LLMs for some additional processing and capabilities. Like, with Copilot, I'm using it as well for when my stream alerts go out. I'm running that through Gemini right now. Eventually, it'll be a local LLM machine that I'm going to be building. But it's doing that so that every time it doesn't have the same generic message every time. Your thoughts on RAM prices right now? It's effed. Well, the reality with memory, RAM, and silicon, it's always been a problem. Even before COVID, the supply chain has always been strained. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's always been strained. So memory prices have always fluctuated quite a bit. But now we have people that are, memory is needed in more technologies, especially when you're talking about LLMs and data centers and things like that. So of course, yeah, it's going to go up. It's a very, you don't have infinite resources to produce everything. So yeah, it is definitely a little bit effed. Not nearly as bad as when, we had COVID with the supply chains, but it's not going to get much better. And it's especially not going to get much better with Trump and the tariffs, because a lot of people don't know this, but I think Micron is based out of Virginia. Micron is who owns Crucial, if I am not mistaken. Let me double check that before we go with that as fact. Micron HQ. Oh, Boise, Idaho. My bad. Still USA. Crucial HQ. Hold on. Crucial memory. About us. I'll have to look that up. I remember there was, but I do remember, Virginia, for example, at one point, their number one export, well, not number one, but one of the top exports they had was silicon. Thoughts on government services trying to replace all call centers and documentation with LLM? That's something that schmucko Elon Musk tried to, get away with, and they're trying to, reduce costs and everything. But here's the problem. A lot of the government functions have to do with elderly people, like Social Security. These are people that already have issues trying to deal with a phone bank system. I don't think it's going to work very well. And I would not trust an LLM system completely without a human in the loop to verify. I just won't. There's too many things that can go wrong. I've seen it with a couple of companies that I've, been trying to hit up their support, and I've literally had to jailbreak their LLM to go get a human. And I think, there's just too many problems with a LLM to replace every single function and try to make people deal with an LLM. It's even worse than forcing Americans to deal with people overseas and have that English as a second language issue combined with the cultural disconnect. I'm by no means hating on people that are foreign or anything like that. I mean, I'm first generation American. But it is definitely an issue. DeepSeek or whatever is too abstract, specific things lacking. Well, different ones are definitely lacking in different ways. I won't deny that. Wisconsin did it for unemployment. Yeah, well, all these companies are going to try it, and a lot of people are actually going to get burned. And in the long term, as they realize, we're still in the early days for LLM. It's not something we can fully trust without a human in the loop. And it's going to cost them more money in the long term. Because you're going to be installing these systems, building them up, and then eventually you're going to have to rip them out and put humans back in place. We've already seen several companies doing that. Did they revoke your Snap? I'm not on Snap. I have not been on food stamps since I was... since I was in high school with my family. Listen here, us true patriotic Americans should not have to deal with foreign customs when we are traveling. Conservative Dave. Elon got one trilled. I don't think that's been approved. Remember, he still had issues getting that multi-billion-dollar pay package. And I don't think that even got approved. No one needs to get paid $1 trillion. It's already hard to understand getting paid billions because I can't even think of how one would spend $1 billion in their lifetime. Like, think about it this way. Let me get compound interest calculator here. Let's say you are at a modest... let's just go with like a modest 3% interest rate, okay? Let's say you have 3, 4, 5, 6. This is $1 billion. All right. We'll calculate this. Okay, it's already so high you can't even do that. So we'll do $999,999,999. And we'll do it over a period of 1 year. If you just let your money sit at 3%, just 3%, this is low, like a high interest, savings account, you would make close to 30 mil. Just by sitting there. Actually, you would make 30 mil because we're doing 999,999,999. 30 million in a year just by having your money do nothing and your money make money. Which means effectively, if you're at $1 trillion, you would be making hundreds of millions. No one needs $1 trillion. $1 billion's already at the point where you're kind of like, dude, you have enough money, give it back. That's why, as much as I have issues with Bill Gates and what he did with Microsoft and how he treated journalists and how he ran the company and the whole antitrust issue and everything, I can have more respect for him than a lot of other wealthy people, because right now, he's already announced that he has plans to burn all his wealth on charity. I think he's said, he wants to have it all spent within the next, 20 or 30 years. I mean, at least he gets it. You know, you come into this world with nothing, you're gonna leave with nothing. How the F if I can play Valorant on Linux? It's the only thing preventing me from switching. Well, you can't really, because Valorant uses the unethical kernel-level anti-cheat. You need to find a game that has developers that actually don't cut corners on anti-cheat and don't do unethical things that basically install a rootkit on your computer. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry. And honestly, if the only thing keeping you from switching is one singular game when there's tens of thousands of other games, let me put it this way. If I were still using Windows to game on and do a lot of my work, I would still never install Valorant. Purely because of their approach with kernel-level anti-cheat. So, that's my perspective on it. And it's not a, you should switch to Linux, you know, screw the game. It's a, this game is doing things in unethical ways that years ago we would have considered it a rootkit and ousted that game. I mean, it blows my mind that as a kid, I remember when Sony got roasted for having a rootkit on CDs to try to fight piracy. And now we're installing games voluntarily that have the worst kind of spyware for what? And it doesn't even stop cheaters. I let battle... It lives! What's up, Kara? I let BattleEye anti-cheat run, then I immediately end it when I am done gaming. Can you do that with the kernel level ones? Because the kernel level ones actually install as a driver that hooks into the kernel at boot time. That's why Valorant has been tied to a lot of system crashes and instability. In fact, you can't even, last I checked, install Battlefield 6 and Valorant at the same time because their kernel anti-cheats conflict with each other. That just tells you how bad the situation is. You literally buy one video game, you can't install another video game because their anti-cheats don't like each other. And now there's people going out there with DMA cheats, direct memory access, to use a separate computer. Valorant is a lot more aggressive than BattleEye. Oh yeah, absolutely. My understanding was you had to install Windows 11 for it because of the TPM and other requirements. Like, it is bad. I couldn't install Nod32 and Norton at the same time. Man, I haven't heard of Nod32 in a minute. It's not that it's a bad thing. I love ESET. I loved ESET antivirus because they were written in assembly. It was one of the most performant antiviruses back in the day. I used to recommend it all the time, but now we've moved on from antivirus to EDR, XDR. Good old-fashioned signature-based antivirus is not that great anymore. Now, it can also just run Windows in a hypervisor mode over non-TPM Windows. That is... it makes boot super goddamn slow. Ooh. See what I'm talking about? Why would you want to install this crap? Damn, the YouTube is so far behind. Is it? Oh. I guess it is. It shouldn't be as far behind, because I did move it from normal latency to low latency. But I haven't moved it to ultra low latency. I can't find antivirus for Linux in PopShop, because you don't really need it per se. I mean, I'm not saying you won't ever need it in Linux. It's just currently with the way the market is, you would be worried more about rootkits and most of the antivirus that actually you install on Linux is more or less to check for Windows things so that you know, they're cleaned out, because Linux is still mostly used in servers and businesses and all that. Now, you can use CrowdStrike, Wazza. I think Microsoft has Defender EDR. Not Microsoft Defender, the same one that's in your computer. They actually have two separate products. I don't know what's with Microsoft reusing the same name for a bunch of their products. Like Copilot. You have Office Copilot. You have Microsoft Copilot. You have GitHub Copilot. Make a different name, goddammit. System 76, I love them so much. Yeah, I like System 76. I have their old Pangolin laptop as my Parrot OS laptop. I just replaced the battery in it. It's great. I still use it for as a laptop every day. Now it caught up. Okay. Wine will gladly run a Windows virus sometimes. Yeah, but it doesn't really affect the Linux system in the same way. Now, I definitely can see one day, as Linux grows in popularity, that there may be a need for antivirus, anti-malware on the Linux side of things. There kind of is on the server side, which is why there's EDR, XDR for Linux. Because in the same way that Mac also has a growing malware scene going on. Because I remember years ago, Apple got in serious trouble because they used to have the Mac versus PC, the Mac versus PC ads. They were freaking great. Don't get me wrong; they were a great ad campaign. But one of the ads they had to pull, which was like Mac doesn't get viruses, and it was, you know, the Windows, you know, freezing and all that. They had to pull that because they were caught in basically what's a lie, that Mac doesn't get viruses when Mac does. It's just the economy, what do you call it? The economy of scale, I think it is. Basically, because if I am going to write malicious software, if I write it for Linux, if I write it for Mac, if I write it for Windows, if I write it for FreeBSD, which of those four options is going to get the most bang for the buck for your malware? It's going to be the Windows one. But now that Mac users for many years, like, they've been at least mainstream enough, they have a growing malware scene, and unfortunately, they're perceived as a luxury laptop, so they kind of see the people that have Macs as people with deeper pockets to, you know, pay up the ransomwares, the scams, and stuff like that. No joke. That's part of the reason why there's been increasing malware and stuff, but right now I'm nuking my Omarchy install, doing Arch with Neri instead. Gotta leave it to the Arch users, the CrossFit vegans of Linux, to tell you that I just use Arch. What's Parrot used for? So Parrot is a Debian-based Linux distribution for that has ethical hacking tools outside the box, out of the box. So it's everyone that's using Kali and trying to daily it should be using Parrot OS. It has all the same tools, a lot more stability, and you can actually use it as a daily operating system. Kali's not really meant to be a daily operating system. I've met a lot of people that are like, I tried dailying Kali and I can't really do it. And, you know, like, I've had several people come in, I'm going to try dailying it and, you know, prove you wrong, and come back and say, yeah, you're right, I installed Parrot. What's a really old piece of software that you still use because there's nothing better? Thunderbird. Mozilla Thunderbird for my email client. That and Firefox. Although Firefox has gone through complete overhauls, but Thunderbird is still a piece of software. Yeah. And Thunderbird's done a great job. They've really overhauled it over the years. It used to be Mozilla Thunderbird. Now it's not really a Mozilla Thunderbird. It's kind of their own thing, but they're still under the umbrella. It's a weird thing. Wait, what'd you say? I'm gonna make security software for kids called God damn it. So Kali, but dailyable, interested in... Yeah, I use it on my System 76 laptop so I can tinker with all the stuff I need. It has some of the ethical hacking tools, but I can use it as a regular laptop on the go. What are your thoughts on UFW for firewall? I like it. I've been on the record many times saying I like Linux, but I hate their network stack. It's still better than Windows, don't get me wrong. Windows is a patchy mess that was really never designed for networking. It's just been kind of hooked in, and they've tried to, you know, square peg and round hole it, and that's why they have a lot of, you know, security issues. But FreeBSD has a better network stack with PF. I like, you know, their stack a lot better, but UFW at least simplifies a lot of the headaches I have with IP tables. So that's why I like UFW a little bit more on a Linux box. I use it for all of my Debian-type Linuxes to throw up a firewall, but if given the choice between FreeBSD's network stack and Linux's network stack, I'm going to pick FreeBSD's every day. It's just, PF is just a way better system. Because Linux uses NetFilter and IP tables, and it separates it, and it's just really janky. If you've ever had to manage IP table roles, it's annoying. Whereas PF, well, if you've ever used PF since Firewall, you'll understand what I mean. It's a lot easier to manage all the rules and everything. Any thoughts on Catchy OS for gaming? It exists. I haven't used it. Honestly, I'm waiting more for Pop! OS 2604. So that'll probably be out in April 2604. With Cosmic Desktop. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I'm on Pop! OS 2204. I'm looking forward to Cosmic, that entire Rust rewrite, getting away from the issues that we had with the GNOME project, because I like GNOME, but the GNOME Foundation has been kind of dropping the ball for a few years now, I'll be completely honest. But yeah. So Kali, but dailyable, and yeah, it's definitely, take it, Parrot OS is more user-friendly. It's designed to be a daily operating system. If you use Kali out the box, you'll notice it's not really the best experience to daily it. If you're using it off a flash drive or as a virtual machine, perfectly fine. But when you start running it bare metal and expecting it to run as a regular computer that you start doing everyday things on, it's where it starts getting annoying. Like, I remember when I last used Kali straight out, this was a few years ago, it installed as root, and then you have to create your own user, then give it permissions, add it to the sudoers group, and there's just so many different things. GNOME Foundation dropping the ball is an understatement. Yeah, they've been dropping balls more than a 13-year-old going through puberty. Isn't UFW just a wrapper of IP tables? Pretty much. That's pretty much all it is. It's a front end for it. It allows you to manage it a lot easier. So that's why I use it, because straight up IP tables, that's some black magic voodoo to manage that. Did you hear about zero-click ChatGPT vulnerability? I heard something about it. Let's look that up. Hacker News. Researchers find ChatGPT vulnerabilities that let attackers trick AI into leaking data. Attacker server. Cybersecurity researchers have disclosed a new set of vulnerabilities impacting ChatGPT artificial intelligence chatbot that could be exploited by attacker to steal personal information from users' memories and chat histories without their knowledge. The 7 vulnerabilities and attack techniques, according to Tenable, so that's credible, it's Tenable, I use their stuff, were found in ChatGPT's 4.0 and 5 models. OpenAI has since addressed some of them. Okay, so they have done some mitigations already. The issues expose the AI system to indirect prompt injection attacks, allowing an attacker to manipulate the expected behavior of a large language model to trick it in. Okay. Yeah, identified shortcomings are listed below. Indirect prompt injection vulnerability via trusted sites in browsing context, which involves asking ChatGPT to summarize the context of web pages with malicious instructions added to the comment section, causing the LLM to execute them. Zero-click indirect prompt injection in search context, which involves tricking the LLM into executing malicious instructions simply by asking about a website in the form of a natural language query, owing to the fact that the site may have indexed by search engines like Bing and OpenAI's crawler associated with SearchGPT. Prompt injection vulnerability via one-click in the format of ChatGPT. Really? That seems very trivial to just... Wow. Safety mechanism bypass vulnerability takes advantage of the fact that the domain bing.com is allowed listed in ChatGPT as a safe URL and to set up Bing ad tracking links. Yeah, here's the thing. This is not going to get much better over time. Thoughts on Tailskill. They exist. I have nothing against them, but I prefer Twingate personally. Again, I know many people that use Tailskill and like it. I have no complaints. I'm not, saying it's bad or anything. Having the LLM reading Reddit and reading the comments as a prompt injection, AI is going great. Well, that's why I keep saying that LLMs are not going to completely replace humans. That's just the reality. At least not for the foreseeable future. And a lot of the companies that are, using LLMs and just firing employees, they're finding out the hard way how much they screwed themselves. Because the problem is when you do that, you not only let go of employees and you lose the human interaction, you let go of humans that have institutional knowledge. And you're not going to be able to hire most, if not all, of those people back. So when you do come back to having to, have that reckoning that, no, AI, LLM can't do everything and you're going to have to deal with the human, you're going to have to build from zero with that human, support model and everything. Practices, procedures, standard operating procedures, all that. It's gonna have to be, rebuilt. Well, not Reddit, but Bing, potato, tomato. Yeah, there's a joke in cybersecurity, because what was it years ago? Someone compromised the machine, then used Bing on the machine to look up how to disable an antivirus, which is why the running joke has been, is Bing an IOC, an indicator of compromise? I don't know anyone who actually uses Bing. Everyone I know goes straight to Google. My camera's getting a little dark. Let me turn up the light a little bit. People put evil code into websites that ChatGPT gives to users. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I keep telling people, vibe coding is going to create a lot of problems, primarily not because vibe coding itself is bad in and of itself. But I know developers, and most developers don't check shit. Or don't understand the concepts underneath things. I've had to deal with developers that don't understand some of the basic things that they should understand from a tech perspective. And it's gotten them in trouble. I've literally had to hold developers' hands when they're like, well, I can't get this application to work. And I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock. You're trying to run an application at the same port as another application. Pick another port. I've literally had to explain to a developer, not everything can run at a port 8000. Pick another port. Well, what other port? And I'm like, you got 65,535 choices. And the first 1,000 are off limits, basically. So you got 64,535. Well, 34. But yeah. What do you know about CIH? Why does CIH sound familiar? I'm not the best with acronyms. There's too many acronyms in this business. I'll just be honest. Also, don't do 25565 if you do anything with Java. Java is the devil. Right up there with PHP. Okay? I'm just saying, you have something wrong with you if you actually enjoy doing Java or PHP. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Hold on, somebody messaged me. Okay. But yeah. My mate write curl requests all day and making a bank. Yeah. Hey, curl's a pretty powerful thing. Modern PHP don't seem awful. Java, though. Have you tried securing PHP? It's kind of a headache. To be fair, it's not nearly the headache it once was, but it's still a headache. Oh yeah, back to what I was saying about audio. So, I like the Pipewire audio system in Linux, and the one thing I've really liked with it is that it's easy to route audio on Linux in ways that normally on Mac and Windows you have to pay for software to do the same thing. So, I have it piping audio to this desktop that does the stream. At the same time, it's putting out to this headset over here. Okay? But it also will put it over here. Like, it'll, with the way I have it set up. So, let's say I open up settings. Oh, yeah. That's just great. But that's also why I made this script. I've been working on trying to figure out why it crashes every now and then. But that has more to do with a very niche use case of me having multiple devices. Okay, is that script gonna... Am I gonna have to reboot this machine, maybe? That's the one thing I've been trying to chase down. That's why I've been making the script reset Pipewire. So it's something I've been improving on slowly to allow me to create a combined audio sync. Now, there's something... I think it's actually the NVIDIA card over here. No, the capture card over here. With going to... From my NVIDIA GPU. Something about these two seems to be causing a lot of headaches and confusion and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to quickly reboot that. So I'm gonna reboot this machine quickly. Thank God I got a 2PC setup. So that way I can, luckily I got the dual chat over here. I got everything, I got TikTok and everything. Programmer hates itself, strategy, factory, interface. Did somebody follow the channel and I didn't get the alert? Oh, no. For some reason it's got the old chat over here. Alright, that's annoying. Give me 1 second and I will be able to get the chat back up, because I need to get the audio up for the videos that we're going to watch in a sec anyway from the review and stream. Hey, to be fair, the audio issue I have is a very niche use case thing that almost no one is going to have to deal with. Because remember, I'm dealing with streamer hardware and all that stuff going in a different way on a 2PC setup. I mean, the honest truth is, most streamers are not using a 2-PC setup to begin with. And this machine's been on for a week? 2 weeks, I think, straight. So it needed a reboot anyway. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so opening up the combined chat over here. Okay, there we go. We've got the TikToks over here. We've got that, and chat is back. Oh, that's Twitch. There we go. People put evil code into websites that ChatGPT gives his users. Yep. My PC no longer runs Windows. I went to Fedora because people need rel practice for work. Pretty snazzy so far. Fedora's alright. I don't really have too many complaints with it other than, you know, I think, what is it, every 6 months they come out with a new version, so it's got, like, pretty rapid cycle, whereas I need a, stable system. Okay, back to what I was saying, though. So, I made this little script over here, and I've actually been trying to troubleshoot and track down, the random, audio disconnect over there. I think it has something to do with the power saving mode or something like that. Ubuntu be stable. Well, I use, Pop! OS, which is a fork. So, oh wait, no, I made an alias. So, I can run this command over here. And then what it'll do is create a audio sync so that it goes out to all of my devices. So as you can see, the combined output over here is putting audio out to one of the USB devices over there. I think that's my, like, analog side of things. That's my GPU to the capture card, and that's my headphones and speakers for my mic and everything. So that creates it in one go. Now, on Windows and Mac, I've been told by people, like, you have to pay for software very often, or use different softwares to get the same effect of it, whereas this is built into Linux out the box. All I have to do is run that command. And then boom, combine stream. To the point. Okay, so I have audio coming out the headphones over here, and at the same time, it should come out over here.
Front, right.
See? So, you heard it through the mic, and you heard it through the machine coming through. From that little USB device. You can use audio MIDI on Mac. I don't remember being able to do that when I used Mac, but it was also a few years ago. I don't know if you're able to do that just out the box, but yeah. That's Pipewire built in. So that's the script that I use over here. I'm just trying to track down that little issue. I'll have to dig into it another time. Have you ever come up with an OG idea of how to compromise a system? No, usually I just use the wrench method. What was I reading at? I thought so. Oh yeah, I already responded to that. But yeah, so the thing is, when it comes to most compromises, it's all, most of it comes down to social engineering. Standard Ubuntu, though, wish I went with Kubuntu since it's more customizable. Oh. I mean, I don't don't like Ubuntu as a desktop. I used to, and then they went with that Unity OS GUI, and then I kind of went away from it to Ubuntu, and then I've been happy with Pop! OS ever since. I don't know what's with my allergies, man. My nose has been itchy. I think I need to put a filter down here or something. Forced into Ubuntu due to Windows killing itself. You can use Pop! OS and everything on Ubuntu works with it because it's just Ubuntu fork. It's a fork of Ubuntu. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the bot that I made for the Penguin Overlord. What the hell? Oh. Discord, for some reason, does not like VPNs. And I forgot I had it set up to turn on for some reason, and it was just persistent. There we go. So yeah, the Discord now has regular news, CVEs, if you want to, you know, keep up on top of them, cybersecurity news, Apple, Android, Google news, general tech news over here, gaming news. We can track US legislation and EU legislation, and I'll soon have UK legislation tracker because somebody asked that, as well as a bunch of other features that I put in here. Because I showed we had the there's a lot, and I'm still gonna have it do more. The main reason that I had it doing this. Really? Are you being... Yep. I gotta check the bot. Oh, it was just delayed. I think that little Raspberry Pi is just, choking a little. I'm curious. So I have a Raspberry Pi that's running all these automations I've been making so far. And I mean, it's been running rather well. I mean, CPU is barely being used, or, you know, and the memory is still pretty healthy. I mean, I'm not even anywhere close to the 4 gigabytes on there. It's running, oh, Docker PS-A. Yeah, so it's running 4 Docker containers right now for everything. It's monitoring my streams. It monitors when I start something on GitHub. It's monitoring my YouTube from when I post a video. And then it's got the Penguin Overlord that's doing all these automations over here. Eventually I'll have the LLM server do some additional processing and stuff, but yeah. Hell. Oh, god damn it. For some reason the chat was not keeping up over here. And now that's not a Linux issue, that's a Social Stream Ninja issue. So I had to relaunch it, because it was picking up a stale chat from earlier. And... so let's see. Hey, thank you for the follow, Nicholas. Hold on, let me see if I can catch up over here. Testing out Pop! OS 24 hours now, sick of Windows 11. Yeah, Windows 11's been annoying. I have Windows 11 Enterprise on the Streambox until I can figure out the Elgato teleprompter situation. That's really the only thing besides the key lighting, but I can do the key lighting. Key lighting and Stream Decks. The Stream Deck, though, can work on Linux. There's just a few things I gotta figure out. Would I need to reinstall anything? For Pop! OS? Probably, but there is a way for you to take your home folder and move it over, but you'd still have to reinstall the apps, but that's why I like Flatpaks. Ubuntu's more into snap packages, but you can install Flatpaks. Flatpak is way better than snap packages. It just is. Snap packages is more of an Ubuntu thing. Windows 11 25H2 is bad, or really bad with drivers and SSD, I noticed. Really? Wasn't there a project for an MP3 with an ESP? Are you talking about my Tangara media player? Yeah, I have the Tangara that was built with an ESP32. I love that thing. That is my media player of choice. They currently stop production until they have the next version ready. And then they're going to have some improvements. But yeah, I bought that when it was still like in dev stage because I'm like, I need that. Because I loved my iPod Classic, do not get me wrong. But the problem is, it's getting too old in hardware that I've had to repair it more and more and more over time. And it's getting harder to get components that are reliable because the device itself is 20 years and there's no one making new parts for it. My Chromebook, I have Windows 11 with soon. As I put 25H2, it kills my drivers. What do you mean it kills your drivers, Kara? Although I've noticed recently that I can't tell if I'm just hyper aware of any stuttering in games due to new OS, or if there is actually just more stuttering. On what? Linux or stuff? Could be a little bit of both. Yeah. Yeah, I run Flatpak at the recommendation of literally every bug forum post I've checked. Yeah, snap packages just were not that great. Intel Rapid Storage drivers not being included with Windows 11 Media Creation Tool has messed me up twice. Wait, what? But Microsoft's been cutting corners a lot lately. Not lately. They've been doing it for years. And that's part of the reason why I've just been, like, so happy to move away from their BS. Honestly, I only use Windows 11 for the stream PC because of the stream hardware I have, and the Elgato teleprompter, on this PC over here. But I'm consistently on, Linux over here. Twice on different laptops, tried to install Windows for it to not recognize the NVMe drive. Really? Like, every time I've dealt with a Linux install and I couldn't find the NVMe drive, it was because there was physically an issue. At least with me personally. I've heard other things. There's also, you know, of course, you know, the, you know, certain RAID cards needing certain things beforehand and all that over the years, but yeah. Can we take a look at the Tangara by any chance? I don't have it with me right now. But I can, if you hop in the Discord or something like that, I can put some pictures up there. Well, actually, I can pull up their project. Tangara. So, the Tangara is made by Cooltech Zone. Wait, did we just go to an ad? Oh, did we? I don't know. Hold on. What are some pros over Pop! OS than standard Ubuntu? I need to weigh the pros and cons since I'm still very new to Ubuntu. Out the box, it has NVIDIA driver support if you like that. They do a little bit Q&A for that. It's running their own customized GNOME. It's basically Ubuntu with more polish. Straight up, if you like Ubuntu, you'll like Pop! OS a lot more. System 76 does a great job maintaining that operating system, and soon they will have Cosmic, which is their new desktop environment, which is completely rewritten in Rust. It's in beta right now. It'll be great. I've been using Pop! OS for 5 years or so. Dude, I just set up Proxmox with OMV and Pi-hole just now, and I'm over the moon. This stuff is so good. Nice! But you know what's even better? Not trying to harsh or mellow. Get a pfSense firewall set up. Do that as your entire router for your network. Kill the Pi-hole, but put the Pi-hole lists in pfSense under pfBlocker NG. Because pfBlocker NG will allow you to not only do DNS blocking, like the Pi-hole does, but IP blocking too. So you can grab all those lists and you can do IP blocking of malicious things. A little bit better protections. I actually use the Pi-hole lists in my pfSense firewall for that. Sorry to derail everything, but how do we feel about NixOS? It's alright. I have not really used it much, but I know people that like it. If I had the money, I would. My next project is Plex, though. Want to start off slow. Well, pfSense, you can use a spare computer. Like, if you... Literally, you don't need much hardware. Like, you're going to need more hardware for a Plex box than a pfSense box. To give you an idea, I have an 8-core Intel Atom Server Edition, and it's overkill. It's an Atom. Not a Celeron, not a Pentium, not a Core i3 or 5. It's an Atom. And that's overkill for it. I have the IDS, IPS, like every feature enabled on it, so many VLANs, and I'm like barely cracking like 15% CPU on that. No. pfSense is the dedicated firewall. So all you have to do, get a spare PC, and then what you do is get an Intel network interface card. Has to be Intel. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it works best with Intel. And you're going to spend no more than like 50 or 100 bucks for a NIC. Like, my first pfSense firewall was a spare box I had with a Pentium 4. And it's still going to be better than any router you get off the shelf, even with low-end hardware. You don't need much memory. You need like, let me look up the pfSense requirements, and then we'll get back to the Tangara over here. pfSense minimum requirements. 64-bit CPU, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of storage, and at least one network interface card. So I recommend if you get an Intel network interface card, get the dual or quad port ones. Slap that in a PCI Express port, and use the Intel NIC side of it for all of your processing, because FreeBSD works better with Intel stuff than Atheros and Broadcom and there's like a third company, Realtek. Intel network interface cards work a lot better. You'll probably, yeah, like any CPU within the past 10 years is going to be more than enough. Like i3, more than you'll need. And like you see, 1 GB of RAM. I'd probably, if you could, at least try to shoot for 4 GB, but 4 GB of RAM today, that's like easy to come by. Yeah, and here's the thing. You build your own pfSense firewall, it's gonna be more performant than anything else you build. The only thing you'll need on top of it, because it becomes the firewall, you will need, if you do Wi-Fi, an access point. So you can do one of two things. When I first did my pfSense switchover, I had an ASUS router. I turned off the router functionality on it, more or less turned it into a switch. And it became the wireless access point. And then you can go get dedicated wireless access points from Ubiquiti, TP-Link, or, you know, other companies like that. And then you'll end up with a better overall network using that than you'll buy anything off the shelf. No joke. That is not hyperbole. But yeah, as Kara said over on the Twitch side of things, instead of Plex, try Jellyfin. Plex has been doing a lot of BS stuff. I am going to even try, when I build mine eventually, to do a Jellyfin server. Would you recommend the upcoming Framework 16 with touchscreen? I don't find touchscreens really that interesting. Unless they're tablets, but I'm not hating on Framework. I just haven't seen a need for me to buy a Framework laptop. because I have Tuxedo computers, I have System 76, I have a Purism laptop. I'm probably going to replace that Purism with Nova Custom. I've been loving Tuxedo computers for their laptops and all that, but they are from Germany, so the issue is right now the tariffs from the Cheeto in Chief. What is my daily driver OS? Pop OS. There's no paid features. Everything is free and available. Yeah, for Jellyfin. Thoughts on OpenSense? OpenSense is a thing. I just still prefer pfSense because there's more bells and whistles and ability for me to customize it. Plus, the reality is, if you go into a business, businesses may actually be using pfSense, not OpenSense. There's no official corporate hardware software package that I know of, unless I'm mistaken, for OpenSense. Does pfSense act as a modem too? Do you need a discrete device to connection to ISP? It doesn't act as... So, let me put it this way. Years ago, you used to be able to get DOCSIS cable modem cards to install in a system, and DSL modem cards that you could put into a system. pfSense could do that kind of stuff, but you're still going to need your own modem for DSL, cable, fiber. Well, there was a guy that I actually know that used the fiber hookup to actually... That's a whole other thing, though. We're not going to go down that road. But anyway, you're going to need your own modem on top of it. That's just how it is. Like, I have my own cable modem plugged into it. But the cool thing you can do with pfSense is you can set up failover or link aggregation. So let's say you have two internet connections from the same provider. Let's say you have like two 1 gigabit connections, just throwing it out there. You can actually bond them together and potentially get double the bandwidth. You can also set it for, like I do, with failover. So I have a 5G internet connection. T-Mobile has a plan for only $20 a month. You get 50 gigabytes of network. It's a backup plan. It's literally designed for backup. So if my main network ever goes down, within 10 seconds, it will flip over to that T-Mobile modem, and I still have internet. And that pfSense will handle it, and then if the main connection comes back, it'll flip back over. The reason why I do that is probably like 3-4 days out of the year, the internet will go down. I work from home very often, so I need my internet to function, and I don't want to be hotspotting off a phone like that, and I still want to make sure I can function. Completely understand. I just want to buy something for my mother that doesn't need a replacement soon. Oh, you're talking about the, something else, okay. Opinion on North Korea hackers emptying crypto wallets. North Korea's been doing illegal stuff for years because they don't really have much of an economy. A lot of their economy is based on doing illicit things. Like, they've actually been the center of counterfeit money. They counterfeit a lot of US dollars. They've literally stolen a lot of goods. Like, so they'll order goods from other countries, like cars and stuff like that. Kim Jong-un is famous for this. He'll order stuff like that and then never pay for it, because how are they going to collect the bill? I think there's like several companies that keep sending a bill and they just keep racking up the interest or whatever. There's not much they can do. Yes, mobile plans are expensive. UK gives unlimited text calls and 5G for £17 a month. Yeah, well, the US has a lot more infrastructure they have to take care of. That's why also the US is a little bit behind in different things, because you have to understand, how big is the UK? How many times over can the UK fit inside the USA? Think about that in perspective. Now you have all that land for all this different infrastructure doing all that stuff. And then the US government doesn't make it any better because regulations and all that. Couldn't the failover be smoother somehow? Couldn't it be seamless? It could be. But there's still the IP dropping and all that, and I do a 10-second failover because if I do less than that, sometimes it can be a little bit too aggressive, and I'll get a flip-flop where it'll be cable, cell, cable, cell, cable, cell, cable, cell. So I do a 10-second check because that eliminates a lot of that flip-flop. We're small but extremely dense, so you need a lot of infrastructure in cities. And the USA doesn't have a lot of dense cities? I want you to think about this. How many cities are in the USA? And how many states are there with dense cities? I'm just saying, if you look at the number of people that have to be supported over the amount of land that has to be supported, I mean, you still got what? New York, Miami, you've got, you know, you can, like, start naming off, like, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, name all these different cities out. There's a lot more infrastructure and complexity that goes into the U.S. infrastructure than a lot of other places. But the other problem is we do have a lot of archaic infrastructure, because here's one thing a lot of people don't talk about. The US is still working on a lot of old technology because we've never had that infrastructure completely destroyed. For better or worse, World War II allowed a lot of infrastructure to be rebuilt. And they got to build up things properly. Now, that's not the entire cut and dry thing of it, but yeah. USA is like 3 big towns: New York, Houston, and California. California's an entire state. In California alone, you've got San Francisco, you've got Los Angeles, you've got San Diego, you've got Anaheim. Anaheim is where Disneyland is. Now, like, that's just California. We're not even talking about Bakersfield and all that other stuff, too. Like, then you've got, like, what? You're gonna completely overlook Las Vegas? Seattle? You're gonna overlook DC? Miami? Tampa? You can start naming cities. Atlanta, Georgia's a big one. Chicago. There's a lot. Most of our population lives in cities with similar density to New York City. Yeah, most of the population in the USA also lives mostly in cities. But then you have all that land in between. And you have to connect all those cities together, not to mention all the underwater fiber. Do I like sports? Not necessarily. It's not that I don't like sports, it's that it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I'll watch, football, proper football. You know, the one that actually uses your foot. Not the one that calls itself football, but you barely kick the ball. Seattle's Canada. Seattle's not Canada. Canada is Canada. I think what you have, if I'm not mistaken, right above Seattle is Montreal. If my geography is right. Yeah, American football. That ain't even football. I've never understood why America has, like, we're gonna have the sport, we're gonna call it football, but the rest of the world already has football. Well, football! It's Vancouver's north? Okay. Do you have a team? There's teams. It's like 6+ hours to drive from one side of California to the other. Yeah, 6 hours. It takes me... Just to get to GerCon took me 8 hours. If I were to drive to Las Vegas, it would take me... I want to say close to 30. Going to Dallas would take me close to 20. Hell, when I lived in Texas, you could drive for like 10 hours between cities in some cases. Texas is massive. Okay, so, let's show you the Tangara. So the Tangara is this open source, right to repair friendly MP3 player that also is programmed in Lua. You can use Lua for scripting. Has a 2200 milliamp hour battery, which is way better than the iPod Classic, which is 350 milliamp hours. I had to modify mine to make it 3000. It has an SD card right there, so you don't have to worry about like replacing drives or anything. Just replace that. And it's pretty simple. Like there, it comes with a polycarbonate case, but you can 3D print your own. And the entire thing is open source. And even open hardware. So if you want, you can actually take these files here, send it off to like PCBWay or something like that, and boom, make your own Tangara. Now if you go get it made yourself, you're probably gonna have to spend a few $100. Well, this was like 200, so probably if you make it yourself, you're probably spending like, I'd say $400 or $500 on PCBs and all that stuff to have them make it for you. But anyway, I bought it originally back in the day, a little over a year ago, on Crowd Supply. I've talked so much about how I love Crowd Supply. As you can see, little small handheld MP3 player. It can do OGG Vorbis, FLAC, and all that. It's got a really great DAC. The Cirrus Logic is basically the Wolfson DAC that the iPods used to use. It's apparently Cirrus bought them. It's got a really great setup. I've been loving this thing. I carry it with me almost every day. It's literally traveled the world with me. So it's written in C++ 17 using ESP-IDF, and then it is able to be scripted in Lua. But yeah, 16-bit audio at 44.1 or 48 kilohertz, DAC support up to 24 bits, and 192 kilohertz. So it's already more capable than the iPod already was. And it's got USB Type-C for the charging, so you don't have to deal with the 30-pin connector with the iPod. Yeah, I've been loving this thing. And of course there are, like, you know, the FIOs and all that stuff, but they're expensive. I don't really, and some people are like, why don't you just get this other device? And I'm like, I want an MP3 player. I just want a basic music player that just plays music. I don't have any other distractions, and I don't even like the fact that, like, these are Android based. I don't want a full-fledged Android device on as my music player. I don't even want to be given the opportunity to connect it to Wi-Fi to be distracted. It is so great to just have an MP3 player where I play my music and all I have is my music and I could just focus on whatever. It's just great. That's, I think, something that a lot of people don't understand that didn't grow up with that era, was just how great it was to have a music player just be music. Techno Angel, friend, a while back, saw you mention a hotspot that had a stingray detector. What was it? It's this guy. Well, I have another one around here somewhere, but it's this Orbic, hotspot. Isn't Apple making a new Nano iPod for its headphones? Who knows? But I don't really want an iPod anymore, because, like, Apple hasn't really been supporting iTunes. And that's the whole thing, is I don't really see them having a device that isn't going to be connected to, like, Apple Music or needing internet or anything like that. Now, let me... Yep. Abby got to it. I was gonna drop in there my video. Because I made a video a while ago for them. Sorry, I'm responding to something on the Discord. I don't know if they're in the chat right now. But I think Apple's really lost their way with a lot of things. It's kind of hard for me to really like trust Apple anymore, per se. All right, let me find some of the videos that my mods wanted me to look at, so we can get into that section. Goddamn, Vampire, you really were like busy posting a lot of things. Okay, he put like so many videos in here. Enderman. Okay, here we are. Wait, did we do the Pal World thing? I think we did. Wait, I don't know if we did this. Apple might need Microsoft to bail them out again if they keep going down this trash hole. Well, Microsoft needs Microsoft to bail themselves out. Microsoft's not doing that much better. They've been getting the ire of people between how they've been treating Xbox and Windows 11. I think they've been overplaying their hand. I mean, you literally find a lot of average, everyday people now taking Linux seriously. As much as I admire and appreciate that people are doing that, it is interesting that it took Microsoft screwing themselves so much to get people to say, I'm done, I'm going to Linux and actually considering it. I would worried what would happen to Mac and Windows OS if both fail. If both fail, Linux and FreeBSD are there. Open source is going to come and save the day. You can't kill a movement, buddy.
Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld is already falling apart in real time, and now even the US is taking action against them. See, last week Nintendo already took a massive loss when the Japanese Patent Office
I've been wanting to play Palworld,
to control the gameplay mechanic of throwing an object to capture a creature. It was a huge win for Palworld because that patent was in the same family as two other patents that Nintendo's actively suing them over, but now the director of the US Patent Office, John Squires, who was literally appointed by the president himself, just issued an order to reevaluate Nintendo's 397.
God damn it. I forgot this is a speaker, too. Sorry.
And that was approved back in September, which covers the mechanic of summoning a sub-character into the field and letting it fight for you. Now, that was a super controversial patent when it came out because it's such a generic gameplay mechanic, but apparently...
Yeah, I don't understand how Nintendo has allowed that,
But now the director is referencing two older patent applications as possible prior arts, one from Konami as early as 2002, and the other one by Nintendo themselves in 2019. So if patent 397 does end up getting revoked because of this, it's gonna seriously weaken the credibility of Nintendo's entire lawsuit against Palworld. Nintendo's lawsuit...
Nintendo has credibility still? Shocks me! Drew Mark Zuckerberg's caught running a legal school by neighbors 2021 to 2025. Yeah, I heard something about that. I didn't really look too much into it. Okay, let's see. Nintendo might be denied again.
Alright, this is bad! Is the
Hold on.
Front, left.
God damn it. This freaking mixer, sometimes I have to unplug it and plug it back in.
Front, left.
There we go. Now I can hear again.
is really re-examining my summoning patent! Sir, they found that the patent may conflict with two other patents that were previously filed. What other patents? One was for Konami in 2002, controlling multiple sub-characters in combat. And the other was for you, Nintendo, in 2020. My new patent is being blocked because of one of my old patents? Oh, jeez. You know, maybe this is just a lesson that game mechanics should never be patented. Great. First our capture patent was denied, and now this. How did this happen? Who do I have to send Mario after to stomp out like a Goomba? The articles say that it was brought to the attention of the head of the US Patent Office by public outrage. You really underestimated the power of angry gamers. Alright, how long do we have to respond to their decision? We only have 2 weeks to respond to the Patent Office. Prepare my green pipe. I'm going to break some blocks.
Is having almost 10 subnets VLANs overkill for a home setup? No. It's a home lab. I think I'm running like 15. I have like 6 or 7 Wi-Fi networks alone. Okay, let's see. Just going through what the server wanted me to go see on stream.
Windows 10 wasn't the only thing that Microsoft killed that made people upset. It turns out that 2025 is just the year of the Gates Gobblers ruining any sense of respectability they had in the public's eye. Myriad of bugs, sunsetting a popular, still perfectly functional operating system, and making their update system indecipherable. The last one happened because Mikey and the Soft Boys wanted to clear up their update names. Instead of calling it the 2025-10 cumulative update for Windows 11 version 25H2 for x64 based systems, KB 5066835 26200.6899, it would just be called the security update KB 5066835
I have 4 APs. I need to add a fifth.
The problem with that truncation,
2 sets
having the
of
date
different
actually
APs.
made it so IT folk could easily decipher the patch notes and see if something was new or not and if it needed to be applied. There was a chunk of uproar over this oversimplification, and thankfully Microsoft has walked it back a bit, saying that they'll make sure to include date identifiers in their updates moving forward.
Microsoft. I don't have these problems on Linux. Our versions are very simple. Stop Killing Games finally reached UK Parliament? Interesting.
Stop Killing Games campaign was just debated in front of the UK Parliament, and this is how things went down. So
How it went down is that Pirate Software is blowing a gasket right now, knowing that basically that movement is still going, and he killed his entire... You know, he lost like 99% of his viewership or something like that. Like, that's not hyperbole. Like, I think like 90% because the guy just couldn't accept he was wrong. Like, look, I will be wrong on many things in my entire lifetime, as will everyone here in chat. No one is perfect. But that just... Every time I hear Stop Killing Games, I think of Pirate Software. You know, he wasn't even at DEF CON this year. I talked to like a bunch of people and no one saw him. Like, I think he kind of realized like I think he realizes that he was the butt of the cybersecurity community for a joke for years. Like, some people like took him seriously, but yeah.
debate happened because of the 180,000 signatures against companies shutting down games that you already paid for, and it actually started off great with multiple members speaking out in support of changing current consumer law, saying that video games aren't just digital products, but they're also cultural history that should be preserved.
I agree with that.
Asking companies to keep the servers running forever, but by giving the players a way to enjoy a version of the game even after it's shut down.
Like Tribes 2, I've showed you many times how that works.
After the game dies before people spend all of their money. There was also only one guy on the opposition, and he even looked like a typical villain, and he basically said that in a...
Okay, I gotta see what this dude, like... Yep. He looks like, He looks like the stereotypical villain, but he also looks like the stereotypical lobbyist, and he also looks like the kind of guy that hasn't been punched in his face in his lifetime.
On the opposition, and he even looked like a typical villain, and he basically said that in a perfect world, everybody would be able to play their favorite game forever, but that setting up private servers would be too expensive for studios to do, which is not really the case when...
This is why politicians shouldn't talk about tech. Setting up private servers would be too expensive. Hello? What is it? World of Warcraft Classic? Minecraft? Tribes 2? Or the entirety of 1990s and early 2000s gaming on PC? It's almost exclusively on private servers.
Is it super?
The Stop Killing Games campaign was just
the
debated
scroll
in
button
front of
on
the UK
accident.
Parliament, and this is how things went down before people spent all of their money. There was also only one guy on the opposition, and he even looked like a typical villain, and he basically said
Sorry,
that
I accidentally scrolled.
everybody would be able to play their favorite game forever, but that setting up private servers would be too expensive for studios to do, which is not really the case when compared to their budgets. And unfortunately, though, after an hour of discussion, the government's official response was that private servers could conflict with their Online Safety Act in protecting children, and that according to them, games have always been licensed to consumers, not something you actually own, even when it came to physical discs, so they're not really changing anything.
So let me get this straight. The UK Online Safety Act is now the reason why y'all can't have the freedom to have games. Is that what I'm understanding here correctly? Could be if I'm wrong here, chat. The UK really needs to just pull their heads out their ass. Okay. Then HBX put this in the chat. Was ist this? Quantum cryptography offers ability to protect from attackers looking to break encryption. Okay. Just fleeing out. Starting lots. Okay. So yeah, quantum... Everyone's been, up in arms saying, well, when quantum computing becomes, mainstream, everything, the internet's gonna break and all that. No, it's not. We've been through this old song and dance before. Before AES, we had really, no encryption, or not that great of encryption. It's a cat and mouse game. They're going to develop some cryptography. We're going to break it. They're going to develop better cryptography. We're eventually going to break it. They're going to develop even better cryptography, and then eventually somebody will break it. It's a cat and mouse game. But, Brew, that attackers are already getting ready for the opportunity provided by quantum computing. They are downloading everything they can at the moment and storing it, basically copying the internet and anything they can, so they can open it later using quantum technology. Yeah, the NSA's been doing this for years. They have. It's no joke about it. They literally have those entire warehouses of data centers, literally just to, gobble up the entire internet with the hopes of being able to decrypt it later. But a lot of providers are re-encrypting their data with post-quantum cryptography. And NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, is coming out with standards that are gonna, be able to resist quantum computing and breaking their system. So, yeah, switching encryption algorithms is easier than you think, can be done in the background without disrupting day-to-day operations. Yeah, this is true. It's happened all the time. There's lots of different projects that are moving on to better cryptographic solutions. I heard Proton is working on doing that eventually. They haven't really, but I think Bitwarden is already at that point. So, yeah. Okay, so, Brody Robertson. Cosmic Desktop and Pop! OS 2404 are almost here. So, I use Pop! OS. I'm on 2204. 2404 was supposed to be the next version, and then it's called 2404 because if you haven't paid attention with the Ubuntu version numbering, it's 24 as in 2024, and 04 as in they released it in April. Ubuntu usually releases in 04.10 increments, so every April, every October, there's usually a new release of it. So the reason why they haven't released 2404 for Pop! OS is because, well, they wanted to get Cosmic Desktop. But they've been backporting a lot of changes into Pop! OS. Like, I'm running the 6.16 kernel and using NVIDIA 580 drivers, so it's not like they've, left it abandoned. But yeah, I think it's probably going to end up being a case that they're not going to have Pop! OS 2404 released and stable on before we actually come around to 2604. So they're probably going to just have 2604 be the next stable at this point, because it's April of next year. I mean, and that'll be a good time for me to upgrade anyway, because I've been on 2204 by that point for like 4 years.
Wait and much anticipation, the Cosmic Desktop alongside Pop! OS 2404 LTS went into their beta releases back during September. Now, I can't speak for the entirety of Pop! OS, but when it comes to the Cosmic Desktop, I do think the wait was worth it.
I agree.
There are still things I would like to see.
Agreed.
Things like changing the handling of client-side and server-side decorations, shifting the priority more towards the server side, window focus, not causing windows to jump up and down when you set window focus delay to 0 seconds, and of course things like HDR support and other things which are becoming more and more expected on a modern desktop. But the core workflow is there.
Right.
The alpha was good towards the end, but early alpha, if you looked at it in the wrong way, you could cause it to crash.
Yep.
When it comes to the crashing bugs now, for the most part, it's more obscure things, it's weird combinations of features, it's weird combinations of hardware. For most people, it's probably gonna be in a pretty good state.
Yep. I think in a few months it'll be amazing.
There are still less serious bugs that do need to be dealt with, like the fact that in the widget menu for the bar, if you grab one of those widgets and then just drag it outside the window, it's just no longer in the list.
Wait, what?
Now, it's still in the bar because it's still technically in the list. It's just not visually in the list.
That is
So
a
you
weird
reload
bug.
the settings and everything's back to normal.
Interesting.
That's not a critical bug, but it is something that probably should be ironed out. But when it comes to the release model, weirdly they're doing kind of the opposite of what you might expect. So normally you'd expect fast-moving, very iterative alpha releases, and then slower, more intentional beta releases. That's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
So let's go to the tagged releases, and you might remember that back during the alpha, mostly it was one release every month. Sometimes there was a 0.1 release, but most of the time it was one a month. Sometimes it was 2 months, but generally following that pattern. With the beta, though, they're doing these faster, iterative releases, more like a rolling release model. You probably heard about Beta 1 coming out with a lot of people talking about it, me doing the stream, and a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
But you never heard the announcement for Beta 2, Beta 3, Beta 4, and there's probably going to be a Beta 5, Beta 6, Beta 7 with no announcement being made. Like, Carl's not making a
Probably
post.
not.
There's not a blog post about it on the System 76
Because
website.
now it's
because
smaller iterative updates.
these are more like alpha releases than the actual alpha releases. That doesn't mean they're unstable, but they're shipping things considerably faster. Now, it's not like the development pace of Cosmic has drastically changed. It's just the rate of tagging has been massively increased. And I get it, but it's kinda weird for a beta, and it would have made more sense if this was the model they were just using the entire time. It allows people that are using the tagged releases to go and, test out the new features considerably faster than before. If you're using a tagged release during the alpha, you could reasonably be 3 weeks behind on features, 3 weeks behind on bug fixes, and anything you report very possibly could have already been resolved. So
Right.
the only way to reasonably test Cosmic during that time was to be using the Git build. Do note, though, that even though there are these frequently tagged versions of Cosmic, they're not rebuilding the Pop! OS ISO for every single one of these.
I wouldn't expect them
They were
to.
doing that back during the alpha, back when there was
Interesting.
this slower paced release version. For this, though, if you want to go and test out the new versions, you're better off doing it on something like an Arch Linux, like a Fedora, something where they actually are bringing in these new packages and making it very easy to test. And I don't know how many more there's going to be, but there will come a time very, very soon where this is going to go from beta to stable, to release version, to whatever they actually want to call it, because we now know when Cosmic Stable is going to be released. The air quotes are there for good reason. Carl, on many occasions, has provided dates, and then those dates were not hit. But this is a date for Pop! OS as well, so hopefully this one is hit. Pop! OS 24.04 LTS and Cosmic Epoch 1 will be released December 11th, 2025.
Really?
That's not an RC version.
Why bother at this point? Because, like, about 4 months after that is going to be Ubuntu 26.04, like I was talking about earlier. So, you're just going to have an entirely new operating system, basically. Like, even if they do release it in December, I'm not going to upgrade to 24.04. I'm just going to sit around for a few months using 22.04 until 26.04 comes out. And then once 26.04 comes out, that's when I will start backing up everything and start planning to move over to 26.04. Could I probably do an in-place upgrade? Yes. Will I? Probably not, because I like to take the opportunity every time there's a new stable release to basically just clean house with my computer. And it's time for spring cleaning. I've been on this machine for several years now, and honestly, it's about time for me to just grab the files that I need off of my machine, and then move over to another one and clean house. There's a lot of junk that I've had on all of my disks all of these years, but all I have to do is move a few things over to one of the other disks on this machine, and then hook back in. A lot of my stuff is on flat packs and app images, so it's not that hard to redo it. Most of the stuff that I actually work off of, like video content and stuff like that, that's on my NAS. It's mostly my dev environment that's going to take time to rebuild anything. The actual Linux install, I can probably get back up and running within an hour or two. Max. The dev environment is what takes me longer because I have to, it'll have Python, but it's all the Python stuff around it, and then it's getting the Docker BuildX and Docker stuff around there, Virtual Studio, Visual Studio Code, some of the other interesting apps I use, and probably going to be taking me longer to go through and just catalog all the applications I have installed, either through apt or app image and Flatpak, and then I'm going to have to learn the whole new way, if they changed it, to do the app linking through desktops. Because we have the .desktop thing, which is like equivalent to a shortcut, kind of, for launchers. So I'm going to have to learn the way that, that is going to be. And it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. But I think it'll be worthwhile, especially if Pop! OS 26.04, let alone 24.04, is starting to use Wayland. That should be an overall better experience for me, potentially. There are probably going to be some hiccups, though, along the way, because X11 is still very widely supported.
That is not an early release version, that is the stable version. And Epoch in this context just means a collection of software. It's not some weird fancy release term, it's just what they are calling their release versions. I have my fingers crossed that this date will actually be met. I don't think there's going to be some drastic change between the beta that exists now and the release version.
Yep.
But I really want people who are worried about trying alpha software, worried about trying beta software, to really be able to give Cosmic a proper try, because this first version is going to be good. It's already in a good state, but that's from my testing, that's from others' early testing.
Right. When
you give that to the average person who hasn't tried Cosmic, who are going to try things that I haven't thought of, that a lot of other people haven't thought of,
right,
with weird hardware combinations, you're going to find some bugs. First releases for everything always have a lot of issues, always have a lot of things that people realize are missing that should have been there from the start, so I think
and that's in part why I'm waiting for 26.04.
Expectations should be kept in check. And very importantly for future releases, Future Pop! OS releases starting with Pop! OS 2604 LTS will now align with the Ubuntu release timing, approximately 2 weeks after the Ubuntu release date.
So maybe around May
If I
latest.
understand that correctly, 24.04 LTS is coming out in December, and then about 4-ish months later, then they're releasing Pop! OS 2604.
Yeah, see, he's about to point out.
They're going to be on the Ubuntu release schedule. So this is probably going to be one of the most short-lived LTS releases ever created.
It's not even
I
going to
don't
be an
know of anything
LTS.
that has a 4-month LTS window. Maybe, like, maybe...
So I got to pause for a sec. It's not going to be a 4-month LTS support cycle. There's still going to be, an LTS usually has like 5 years of support. So it's 2404. So it's still going to be supported until 2029. But again, I just don't see the point in them doing this because now they're going to have to worry about supporting 2204 till 2027, 2404 to 2029, and then they have 2604 until 2031. And then at that point, they're going to have 2804 overlapping with that. So I just don't see the point in them doing this. This makes no sense to me. I would have just held back and said, we're just going to do 2604 because Ubuntu 2404 has a whole other collection of software versions and packages and everything than 2604. That's just how it is in the LTSs. They bump up a lot of the versions, give it a lot more stuff. I mean, Ubuntu, every, standard release of the, 2404, 2410, 2504, 2510, and then ultimately the next LTS, that's just how they work. That's just how their release schedule is. So I just don't, I want to understand their logic behind this. It's like, yes, I know we've been waiting this long for it, but at this point, we've been waiting about 2 years now. We can wait a few more months.
Bread. Yeah. Maybe a head of lettuce. Now, they don't have many options here. They can do what they're doing here, which is release something a month from now, release something again to get back onto the Ubuntu cycle, and then everything be good from then. They can say, we're going to release nothing until 2604
Yep, see, that's what I was saying.
and then be on the cycle, but I'm sure they really want to get a stable release out way before then. The other option is just say, you know what? We don't actually care about these release cycle, these release windows, and just do our own thing. But I am sure that Carl and everybody else on social media is sick of answering the question, why are you guys on 2204 LTS, but it's 2025? Why are you on 2404 LTS, but it's 2026? Just getting back on cycle will finally fix that problem, if nothing else. And this is really big for Pop! OS because until now, the project was kind of in limbo. It was still being maintained, but because of that whole, it's based on 2204 LTS, even though it is doing the whole Pop! OS semi-rolling thing, it creates a situation where it seems like things are not being maintained to somebody who might consider using Pop! OS. And ever since that last version,
I can see that
have come along to kind of fill the void it left. Things like CachyOS, all of these various other gaming distros, Bazite to some extent, and Pop! OS is used for more than just gaming, but gaming is kind of the thing that...
Yeah, like, what he's saying, like, it gives the feel that it's unmaintained, but I'm on the 6.16 Linux kernel, which is still pretty damn new, with NVIDIA 580 drivers.
Putting it on the map. It's Ubuntu, but it doesn't have stupid kernels and stupid drivers for gaming. I'm curious what sort of interest is going to be around Pop! OS after all of this wait between releases. Is there going to be this resurgence of interest? Are people going to try it out once again?
I think people are going to be interested in the Cosmic Desktop.
Whatsoever? I'm very interested to see what happens here. And for those who are currently using Pop! OS, yes, there is going to be an upgrade path between the two of them. Keep in mind, though, it will be going from GNOME to Cosmic.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to clean up all of the GNOME files. So it's very possible there's going to be a lot of, like, junk left over.
That's why I want to do a
If
clean
you're really
install.
worried about that and you really want a clean upgrade, I would frankly just do a fresh install.
See,
now,
that's
most
my
of this
plan.
is just about Pop! OS. And Cosmic is not going to be following the Pop! OS release model, and that's probably for the best, because one new desktop every 2 years is about 4 times as slow as what GNOME and KDE do, and it doesn't need to be like that. You have a team of developers, you have people that are working on it, things are going to be ready long before then, so when it comes to those releases, someone asked the question, will Cosmic Epoch 2 be released with Pop! OS 2604, Epoch 3 2804, and so on, or will Epoch be incremented between one LTS release and another? Carl
That's a good
says,
question.
Cosmic Epochs are a collection of features we plan to release during the next development cycle. They're separate from the Pop release schedule. Cosmic is a rolling release desktop environment with releases each week. Some US holiday weeks will be skipped. Cosmic will be updated in distros based on their packaging policy and release schedule. For Pop, it's continuously updated as features pass QA. So,
That'll be nice.
with this specific mention of features here, this sounds very different from the GNOME and KDE model that are built around the Ubuntu calendar. So Ubuntu has releases in April-ish and October-ish.
Right.
And GNOME and KDE not as much traditionally, but they're moving into this model, release roughly around the same time to make it easy for these distro maintainers, along with Fedora as well,
Right.
to have the latest version on that new release. With it being rolling, this is a very different model, because GNOME and KDE do have these minor releases in between, but they're not feature updates. They're bug fixes and security fixes and things like that. Here it sounds like there won't be a distinction, and as things are ready and as things are tested, they'll just be released. This is probably going to work really well for distros like Arch Linux, but if there was an Ubuntu Cosmic,
How long has Pop! OS been around?
I don't see that functioning in their model.
About
It
6
probably
years.
works better in the Fedora model.
think
Fedora tends
developers
to be
supported.
more willing to ship things at a more continual
It'll be
pace,
supported for
but
a while. System 76 has been supporting this for years.
I'm curious to see if this sticks around long term, or if this is just a temporary thing as, you know, basic things are being added. What I mean is, when all the features are there that people expect to be implemented, there's much less of a reason to have this fast-paced release model. It adds a lot of extra strain onto the development team. There's extra testing that needs to be done on a very frequent basis. So this is why a lot of the other desktop environments, alongside obviously the Ubuntu model, don't release at a pace like this. Again, I don't know what's going to happen, you know,
I think they're going to have a rapid release
now,
cycle
but
until they
that
get
would
all the
be
features
my
in.
Expectation that things do
The features that you
eventually
expect.
slow down. But I could also see it not changing because it does align with what Pop! OS itself is doing. So, like Cinnamon and Mint, where they're kind of like tied together. And yes, there's Cinnamon on other distros, but that's like the main place. That's the same way it goes with Cosmic and Pop! OS now. Yes, there is Fedora Cosmic. Yes, there are packages on Arch Linux and various other places, but like, they're very much tied together. And
Right.
Pop! OS also has this semi-rolling model where certain parts of the distro roll updates in rather than just being this like old Ubuntu base that's like, you know, 2 years, 3 years out of date depending on when you're running it. So having the desktop be part of that as well, and that is specified that at least for now, that is what is going to be done. So it's possible that it just stays like that and nothing ever actually changes. It would be nice to see a major desktop environment not have the same release model that everyone has. I understand why they have it. It just makes it easier for everyone if
Right.
they all operate on the same schedule. But at the same time, Cosmic doesn't really need to care about that because System 76 sort of has that whole release stack. They have hardware they sell, they have a distro they make, and now they have a desktop they make. So even if other places find it inconvenient to package, they always have that base to rely on. And I, for one, am very curious to see where this goes. When the stable release comes out, I will definitely be doing a Cosmic stream, and we will be finding bugs with it. Now, hopefully, a lot of the bugs are ironed out by the stable release, but I know for a fact that there are bugs there that haven't been looked at for about 6 months.
Probably.
And I know for a fact they're still in the code base because I reported them. So we will see if some of those ones get fixed, because if they're not, I will definitely be having some fun with that. Anyway, let me know. Have you tried out Cosmic so far? Did you try during the alpha? Have you tried during the beta? Are you waiting for stable release? Do you even care about Cosmic?
I played with it a little bit.
I'd love to know.
I'm waiting for stable.
If you like the video, go subscribe as well. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out my Patreon, subscribe, Stelly Barapay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and space is fake.
Really? Okay. Let's go to the next video. Vampire put this up.
We're about to buy a new graphics card. Please do not fall for this scam. This is a new one and almost impossible to notice.
Okay.
We've seen a bunch of different CPU and GPU scams lately, even on trusted places like Amazon and Newegg. And most of the time it involves using fake weights or swapping out the components with something worse. But now, these fraudsters are getting a little bit more sophisticated. Look, here's 6 GPUs that were recently purchased and they all look pretty normal. But underneath the hood, they're all missing something very important. The actual GPU on the GPU. The GPU die is essentially the brains of the graphics card, and this is basically what gives you the performance. Without it, your GPU is not running. So watch out, and only buy GPUs from people you trust.
Really? Interesting. I have money to spare. What technology should I buy? That's a little bit broad. I don't know what I specifically should tell you, not knowing what your priorities are. Now seeing TikTok moderation is slightly more better and won't flag a normal comment. That's saying a lot. Okay, so let's see what this is. Making Wi-Fi sound like dial-up internet. Okay, why did Vampire send me this video? I remember this sound! This is the sound of the internet.
After decades of providing dial-up internet access, AOL just recently discontinued this service.
Wait, they just recently discontinued it? What? I didn't realize it was still even around. I thought it had been dead for a while. But that's a dial-up modem over there. That's not even PCI. I think that's an ISA card.
Not be big news in 2025 because a 56K connection isn't fast enough to do much of anything anymore.
Right.
But even still, it's a little bit sad. It's officially the end of an era. Never again will a teenager have to tell their parents to stay off the phone so they can play Doom with their friend down the street.
I used to have to yell at my mom and say, "Mom, get off the phone. I need to use the internet." I remember when we got DSL. Or was it ISDN? Either way, I remember saying that, yelling, "Mom, get off the phone. I need to use the internet." My dad yelling back, "We got DSL. We don't need to do that shit anymore."
And never again will we actually hear our internet traffic.
Goodbye.
Or will we? But before we get to that, let's look at why dial-up modems made their characteristic sounds. Before we had cable modems or fiber optics in the home, and way before high-bandwidth wireless data was available, the best connection most people had to the outside world was a telephone line.
Damn small.
It wasn't particularly good
what he's
option,
using?
but it could connect you to nearly any destination in the world. There was a pretty big problem, however. Computers speak a digital language, while the telephone network was built to transmit analog signals.
Right.
Without swapping out some hardware, as was done with DSL lines, transmitting digital data would have been unreliable. As a workaround, modems were developed. Modems convert digital data into analog signals compatible with the existing telephone infrastructure and vice versa to send and receive data. And those analog signals are treated just like a voice call by telephones, so they can be heard.
Excited for the full release mostly for the wallpaper artwork and the full desktop environment.
Back.
Are you talking about the Cosmic? Yeah, it'll be nice.
Converts Wi-Fi data into sound so you can hear your internet connection. I'm using this Raspberry Pi 3 to make that possible. It has a secondary USB Wi-Fi adapter that I use to sniff network traffic. I put the adapter into a mode that receives all traffic, then I filter it to target one particular computer so that I can focus on its traffic. I then send the data from the captured packets to this Adafruit QT Py microcontroller via a serial connection. It then turns the data value into an amplitude that I use to generate
This is definitely a project someone was bored and made it.
Analog signal with the onboard
bored and went around to do.
analog converter, and the output is fed into an amplifier that then plays sound through this speaker. Now the data is pretty much random, so as you might expect, it sounds pretty much like static. That's actually also true of dial-up modems. But wait, what about the connection sounds we all know and love, you ask? Those are special because during the initial handshake, the transfer rate is slowed way down and specific steps are always taken.
Right.
But when real data is transferred and the speaker turns off, it's all static. So to make the Wi-Fi sound more interesting, I made some occasional random adjustments to the amplitude and frequency of the sound wave the device produces.
Yeah, he was really bored when he did this.
It's all driven by the Wi-Fi data. Okay, I think the only thing left to do is to take a look at the device in operation. I've got this set to monitor my desktop computer, and I'm going to start it up.
Sounds similar to me using a ham radio. That is definitely an example of I was bored and I had too much time on my hands. Okay, so what's this that Vampire also wanted me to see?
There's a lot of gaming news. Well, quit wasting our time and let's get through it. Well, first off, a new survey shows that 72% of game devs think that Steam has a monopoly on the PC gaming market. What do you think about that, Steam Deck? Sorry, not sorry. It's not my fault the competition sucks. The United States Patent Office has decided to take another look at Nintendo's gameplay patents. They haven't done this in ages. This is absolutely ridiculous. Fourth wall break. I am convinced that it was us, the gaming community, making a fuss about this that caused the United States Patent Office
I agree with that.
So congratulations, guys. You made a difference. The PlayStation Portal now supports cloud gaming. Yes, but it's only for select games, and you have to be on the premium tier of PlayStation Plus. That sounds like something I would do. The hit new superhero game Dispatch sold over 1 million copies in just 10 days. That game is a masterpiece, and no one is going to convince me otherwise.
That shows you how much out of the loop I am.
Last but certainly not least, the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie just released a final trailer, and it'll be coming to theaters on December 5th. Did we miss anything? Whoa, there's a lot of games.
It's a little bit. Alright, let's see. What other... We'll get at least one more video in, because I don't want to use all of the videos up, because I do have a stream tomorrow.
Official, the death of Windows 10 is getting gamers to move over to Linux. The first Steam hardware survey is dropped since Microsoft decided to nuke its...
He's going to talk about how Linux actually hit 3% that we talked about on the other stream, isn't he?
With its users, and it's clear that people are shifting out of the Zune ecosystem. Obviously, Windows 10 saw a big dip, and Windows 11 did see a significant portion of those gamers switch over, but not everyone. Some appear to have gone over to Mac, but even more have boosted Linux to its all-time.
I need to get the people who switched over to Mac from Windows need to get their head examined.
Market share of over, that's right, a whopping 3% of all gamers. A healthy chunk of those folks are running SteamOS, likely on the Steam Deck, but plenty of others are trying out various other versions of the...
I love how Pop! OS is, like, up here. Wait, Pop! OS is one of the smallest. Interesting. In terms of percentage. And good enough to, you know, recognize, but just slightly above Fedora Linux 42 Workstation Edition. Of course, SteamOS is the majority. Arch users. The CrossFit Vegans of Linux. Taking, third? Well, other is just a combination of everything else, so yeah. Linux Mint, Catchy OS, Ubuntu. Am I just basically in the minority of gamers?
Software. Personally, I've switched over to Bazite on my gaming systems to try it out, and we'll be experimenting with other distros shortly. TLDR, it sucks so far, but it's clear the best marketer for Tux is Microsoft themselves. Well done. It's official, the death of Windows 10.
Yeah, I haven't really had much issue with gaming on Linux. But yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Pop! OS comes up with in the next few months. And if they get back to the regular release cycle. That, I think I will be looking forward to. Oh, that was weird. My YouTube stream was, like, weeding out. Man, YouTube is really far behind. I just noticed that. Like, it's still on the, other video. I did not realize just how far behind YouTube, actually is compared to the rest of my streams. Interesting. But I can't believe AOL finally died. Like, seriously. That blows my mind. Yeah, so my, bots have been, coming along pretty well for all of my needs for streaming and everything. I mean, we can see right here, Stream Demon, is doing updates whenever I'm live, so it's actually keeping the viewer counts updated. Same with YouTube, same with Kick. YouTube, it just grabs the thumbnail that we put on there, but the other ones, it grabs a screenshot every so often, and it will actually update them, whatever the check interval is. We've got now our news bots over here. This is really going to be fantastic because now we can actually have the Discord server be a little bit more active for everyone to get involved and look at different technology, and we can even stay up to date with the US bills that come forward, because I know a lot of people like to, separate technology and politics, but the reality is, if you're working in cybersecurity, we have to keep on top of regulations and changes for compliancy, because different laws will change how we have to process things in cybersecurity, not just in the US, but also in the EU. I will also be adding a section here for the UK in the near future. There's another RSS, and as my community, gives suggestions for other places, we're going to be adding some more features into that. How did you learn Python through project-based learning? Well, simply, I made myself try to create different features and functions and would build that through. I originally started, before ChatGPT 3.5 was really a thing, was doing a lot more Bash than Python, and then ChatGPT 3.5, it's really early, when it just became mainstream, crappy version, came out, and it was really bad at doing code and everything, but bad code taught me how to make better code. So I learned through that. I learned through projects at work, which is how I learned about different CI/CD workflows, how whether infrastructure is code through Terraform and OpenTofu, and all these different things. And now I do a combination of using Copilot or Amazon Q to build a lot of the scaffolding and structure, but I know how to look at code and be like, nope, that's gonna be crap. For example, when I built Stream Demon, as I tell people, look, if you vibe code your way through it, it'll make what you want, but you're not gonna like how it makes it. It's gonna make it possibly insecure, unoptimized, it's going to be, you know, like clunky and hard to go through. Did you learn how to make video games? Like, do you know how code to do that? No, I didn't do video games. I did a lot of mine through security and automation projects that I was doing. So you can actually look at my GitHub for many different things that I've built. Let me pull this up here. So quite a few of these projects are things I've actually done or studied the code of other people for their stuff. So let me go into my repositories over here. So, of course, you know, you have the big things over here. Penguin Overlord is the Discord bot I just did. Boon Demon is my YouTube poster for Discord, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Matrix. Eventually, I'll hopefully have TikTok. Pipewire Sync is what I've been using in Bash to get that audio script I talked about. Patch Gremlin is a Bash script set up to set up unattended upgrades. So I do automatic updates, security or full, for Ubuntu or Debian type Linuxes and Rail type Linuxes, and then can post to Discord, Matrix, Slack, or Teams when I've actually come about. Pinode XMR is a project I use to make a Monero node that I still run on my network, operating over Tor, and I, you know, did some tweaks and customizations and helped out that project a little bit many years ago. There's Stream Daemon, which I talked about, is my stream setup. Star Daemon used to be Star and Toot, and Stream Daemon used to be Twitch and Toot. So I think we can actually pull up the old commits here. If we look back, see, it says 217 commits. There's been a lot of commits in here. So if we go back quite a ways, because you'll see I was teaching myself about CI/CD, secrets management, and other things. Back, let's see. So May 2023 was the last time I played with it, and that's when I was starting to learn to Dockerize it. And I was playing with Docker and, you know, adding HashiCorp Vault support and, you know, different tweaks over there. So this is one of the first projects I had. So originally, if we go back to the earliest version, because remember, this was ChatGPT 3.5, and it was horrible. The initial commit was 2023. So the original version, if I recall, I originally put that under GPL v3, but I changed it. So that's just the license files, okay? There was a Python that I did. Hold on. Really? Are you not going back? There we go. Don't know why it was lagging there. So let's see. Logic fix. End of stream message. Okay, so I recall. Yep, so we can go back and we can actually see this was originally a Node.js program. Why was it Node.js? Well, ChatGPT 3.5 was horrible. And Yitz knows he's more of a React and Node.js developer. So he taught me how to, you know, get this working and check the code a little bit for this. So this was the earliest version of Twitch and Toot, which its goal was to monitor when I went live on Twitch and post to Mastodon, because Mastodon calls their posts toots. So that was why I called it Twitch and Toot. And now it's Stream Daemon. And eventually, I rewrote that entire thing in Python. So that was my real introduction project into Python, was learning how to make those functions in Node.js. I still barely know Node.js because I do a lot more Python at work and stuff. And Python was a lot more capable for a lot of the things I needed between the libraries that were available and everything like that. If I wanted to make my own video game, do I need to know how to code? Yeah. You'll probably need to know how to code, or at least, I mean, there's systems out there that you can do blocks and all that. My niece, that's like, she's about 11 now, I think. She was teaching herself how to do Unity. So to do the best in game development, you'll probably want to know how to code. If you want to be blizzarded, overworked, go join game dev. Yep. So this was the way that I learned how to, start doing projects. This was my real learning into making a Git project, and building something out. And over time, I built many different projects as learning, lessons. So if we go back to here, we can see repositories. We can see like there's investment tools over here. We'll open that up. The email signature, that's actually something I use. The split tunnel switch was a bash thing. This was another interest of mine. Domain Hunter was something I studied, which eventually I made my own version of it, called Typo Sniper. I've talked about that. This is a domain typo squatting tool. So this was a Python. I studied his Python script a little bit and how it operated. And then I learned kind of how I wanted to function things off of it. And that's when I made Typo Sniper. So if we go back up here, there we go. This is Typo Sniper, which has a lot more capability than the other project over there. It's a little bit of mix of my own working on it and LLM doing some of the code there. I probably these days have LLMs do maybe 70-80% of all of the work, because could I do it? Yes, but it's the matter of me spending hours or days versus weeks and months to do the same thing. Now, LLMs will make horrible code. It will be wrong, unoptimized, and a lot of different things. So you still need to learn code structures and stuff like that. Let's go back into here, hold on. Let's go back into Stream Daemon, for example. And Star Daemon used to be Star Intuit, which was a Python project to monitor GitHub and then post to Mastodon when I start a repo. Star Daemon does the same thing, but it works with Mastodon, Blue Sky, Discord, and Matrix. And the nice thing about all these platforms that I've been using is there's no tools that exist to do a lot of the things that people see. Like Twitter, you can find things to integrate into. Discord, you can sometimes find things, but I found if I made my own, I could do things a lot better. So this is Stream Daemon. This is my tool that I use to post when I'm live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. It posts to Discord, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Matrix, and it also runs through an LLM. So the things I've learned over time, working at work, working with, some mentors that I had through work that were coding architects and stuff, was how to organize my code, how to modularize my code, how to use secrets managers, and a lot of things that I don't have, code examples of out here. So you can see like there's a mix of like install systemd, sh is how I install it. I make an uninstaller, set up tools over here to simplify a few things. So like, yes, I did use an LLM to help me improve a few things like adding color and, a few little weird logic fixes and all of that. But this helps me install the systemd services and everything there. But if we look at the core project over here, you can see there's, the stream state over here. The original version literally had a text file that I was writing to monitor my state, and it would check over every few hours or so. So I had to learn how to make it remember things in memory as it operates, and then Dockerizes too. So if we look at like the AI folder over here, there's also Gemini. This is how it processes Google Gemini. But you also have to learn about libraries and stuff. So if you see it's importing the environment variables, the logging, that was another thing, was moving from print statements to proper logging. You know, this is the thing that happens with, you know, anything in tech. It's iterative steps of learning and improving. This took me several years to get to this point where I'm comfortable and I know what I need to get. And again, yes, LLMs do help me build a few of this along the way, but LLMs will make a lot of mistakes. Like, for example, Stream Daemon, when it originally tried to do this entire thing, it was literally making this entire thing a monolithic file. It was all one file called Stream Daemon, which, it originally was in this file over here. It was about 3,000 lines of code. It was a monstrosity. And the problem with having a monolithic piece of code there is it's harder to debug, because you have all the pieces all over in that, whereas you want to split it to its different components, and then it made testing a little bit harder to do. So if you see, like, I have these tests files over here to test the individual components and how they operate, configuration tests, running all the tests, config, debouncing, integration, testing the LLM, matrix domain validation. So there were all these little test suites that I had to build over time. But of course, you wanted to split these components out. And the cool thing is, when I made this project and I made these individual components, then I had the ability to recycle these components. So when I start a new project, I literally take some of these components that are already here, often these social media pieces over here, as well as config and secrets. And then I modify them so they can work appropriately with the different programs that I'm using. Because if you notice with Stream Daemon, not Typo Sniper, but if we look at, feels like I never iterate, I just keep putting on technical debt. Yeah, that's the thing, is if you keep doing the same thing, you will eventually bog down with things. So I need to iterate, I need to improve, and then also the idea was shifting my security left. So what I mean by that is, if you notice, I open up my own issues in here for enhancements and everything, but I have a bunch of CI/CD pipelines in here. So it's automatically doing security checks, code quality analysis, and if you look, that check actually happened today. I didn't make any changes to Stream Daemon today. It's just doing a check to see, are there any dependencies that it's out of date with, or things like that. So if we go into the pull requests, for example, you'll see there's 92 pull requests. I never like to push directly to main as I get a project developed, and I like to develop on different branches. So you can actually see, there's one open by Copilot, to address vulnerabilities and work through it. But then there's ones from Dependabot over here. So it's literally looking at my code and then saying, hey, this library is a little bit old. We have a newer version. So we have Dependabot finding, stuff. Then it does a scorecard over there for, if there's licensing issues, anything like that, as well as, security issues that may be in these products. And then, I can merge it in. So, I merge the commit in, and boom. And then it runs all these additional CI/CD checks. This was actually the first project I did to learn how to do CI/CD flows. So this .github folder is where all of my workflows are. You can set up some stuff through settings, but you can also do it through here. Now, if you look, it's also got 309 security alerts over here. Now, the majority of these are nothing I can do. So you see all these things that say kernel? That's related to the Docker. It's actually the system itself. There is literally nothing I can do. It is system related. So I can close like these 200 out there. there's nothing I can do because it's related to system updates. It's already updating. And, you know, these are all mediums as well. Mediums are not as much of a concern as, say, a high or a critical. So let's say I go over here. We can see there's no highs over here. And if we move a few pages down, we'll actually start seeing that we get into the lows. See? Bunch of lows over here. And again, kernel, all that. So yeah, and we can see there's already 520 things that have been closed over here. And you can see, like, won't fix, these for kernel already, different things for highs. And I have, I had a ticket open originally for the mediums. But this is what I do to iterate with project work, is I don't just build the same thing over and over. I start asking myself a question every time I do a new project of, what new thing can I learn from this project? How can I enhance this project? What new, you know, lessons, enhancements? So every time I make a project, whether it's for myself or even at work, I ask myself, what can I do to learn something new? And it's various things to improve. So, you know, with Stream Demon, there was a lot that I learned here. Overall, I'd have to say in the past few years, this was probably the biggest leap in learning lessons for me. Between GitHub CI/CDs, getting SNCC integrated into this. I've already had SNCC integrated, but it wasn't fully fleshed out as it is now. And I then was like, okay, moving forward, I don't want to push into the main branch. I want to address, make branches and then do PRs in. That's why you see so many different pull requests over here, because I wanted to deal with the merging and everything there, so you can see, you know, all these different tweaks. So you can actually go through and see over time little improvements. Typo Sniper was more an example of how do I output data into a Excel, JSON, HTML, and CSV, as well as many other things over here, incorporating secrets management through Doppler. These have been great projects for me to learn Doppler. Over here, investment tools was just, hey, let me make a basic calculator over here and see how I can make math, basically, in Python. These are relatively simple scripts. So I always give myself a basic project so that I can start reading and revamping things. And you can see they're not too complex. It's very straightforward for all this different math over here. It was just, hey, I want to do these tools. Could I do it in Excel? Absolutely. But I wanted to see if I built it into Python, what could it possibly look like? Now, some of these tools I would probably say I wouldn't use for everyday stuff. There's some, you know, missing features and math may be wrong on them, but it was a learning project. Same thing as the email signature template. So I haven't done HTML in years. So this was a learning lesson for me to make an HTML template for my email. And not only that, how can I get the logos working for all of my socials? So this is actually what my signature looks like. And then also, I was like, okay, I need to make it work with a phone too. So this is a version I use for the phone. It scales it down, everything like that. So when it comes to project-based learning, it's give yourself a task, and out of every task, ask yourself, what can I learn with this project? Don't just do a project to be like, yay, I made a calculator. But what can I learn doing that calculator? And then make twists on it. So like there's an offline password generator here in Python. This is one of my simplest projects out here. It's literally just generating a random password. That's all it is. It's one of the simplest things. Domain Hunter, I already, you know, looked at that. But yeah, so this is what I have done to teach myself things. You can actually go through here and see there's, you know, like this was actually a fun little tool. So this is what the long weekend planner, I actually have used this. so that I can plan for long weekends. You know, literally, it's like I put in the holidays over here. So it'll be like, hey, if we have New Year's Day, and New Year's Day happens to land on, say, a Thursday, it will calculate that Friday, I can take a day off and I can get a 4-day weekend. Or it'll let me know, hey, there's a Friday, or, you know, any combination thereof. So, like, basically, if a holiday ends up on a Thursday, a Tuesday, or, you know, such, I can take an extra day and basically get the bang for my buck with my paid time off. That was a learning thing, and as you can see, very simple, script over here. And I've used this. I've still used it where I will, check of it, you know, like, see, Monday, Thursday, Friday. So, like, you know, Thanksgiving. Okay, you happen to have it on Thursday. Now, work happens to give me a Friday. Not everyone does. Speaking of PTO, I got a call for earlier this morning offering me a job that I applied for. Hey! Mazel tov! Hold on. I think you can hear the... Are there any better terminals than the Windows-based one? Yes, there is. So, Microsoft actually has a better terminal, which I don't know why they don't include. So, Microsoft Terminal is a better one because it'll work with not only PowerShell and Command Prompt, but it'll work with Windows Subsystem for Linux. So, you can easily have tabs inside of it, too. So I actually use that at work. It's the Microsoft official terminal. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's one of those things that I don't understand why they don't include it. But as you can see, it's Microsoft's own terminal. They have a prepackaged version. Let me see if I can get some better pictures of it. Here we go. This should be it. Yeah. So you can have tabs in there. It can, do tiling. So as you can see, you have Ubuntu in there. So the Microsoft Terminal, which I don't know why they don't package this. It's literally Microsoft. This actually works really well. I use it at work. And that's how I operate Windows Subsystem for Linux at work, because I can then open another tab with another WSL in the same window, or I can open Command Prompt or PowerShell and then tab between them. So there's that. I'm going from an MSP to doing IT for a local org, not going to share deets for OPSEC. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I'm in the middle of looking for a job myself. I have a job right now, to be clear. I'm just looking for one that treats me better. I got passed over for a promotion, and I just feel like they're taking advantage of me. And when I was very obvious I wanted to get the senior position, and they instead hired outside the company when I'm the longest standing member of the entire team, even to this day, that pissed me off. And the fact that I'm not, I'm just being overlooked for all these things. And I'm like, look, I'm the only one that's really coding on the team. I'm the only one doing infrastructure as code. I'm the only one really doing AWS. I'm the only one that, does all these different things. And you don't even want to give me a proper pay bump. I mean, my pay bump last year was less than inflation. Seriously. Less than inflation. So I'm at the point where it's like, you know what? Y'all are striking out so many times. You're not even, helping me. I have to take PTO off to go to cybersecurity conferences to get education and, knowledge that then benefits my work. And I'm using that out of my own pocket. So I'm like, you know what? This is... But anyway, I have some potential leads. We shall see if anything comes about of them. But it's a weird time in the year right now. It's always the end of the year. So... nobody's really hiring, nobody's really responding, because Thanksgiving's about to be around, then you have, the holidays, so, I'm not really expecting any responses till after the New Year's, and the other problem we have is HR does the reality is HR is not qualified to be reviewing IT and cybersecurity resumes. I've been rejected for so many resumes that I've had, people that actually work at companies that, were making decisions being like, why the hell did HR reject this resume? Like, HR is looking for keywords and doesn't even know what the hell they're looking for. So, but yeah, mazel tov on getting your job. I've been here for 3 years and I've been stuck on L1 for ages. That plus saving money on gas. Yeah, well, that and everyone's talking about return to office, and they're talking about return to office at my work, and I cannot do hybrid is okay for me. Remote work is, I can work with remote. I can work with hybrid. Being fully in the office is a detriment to my performance. Because I am very inefficient in an office, because everyone comes to bother you. Everyone schedules meetings when you're in the office, and it's just going to get worse when I'm in the office. And not only that, there's a lot of times where I'm literally in holding patterns. I'm waiting on for like 3, 4, 5 other people to do their things before I can do anything. So I'm basically sitting there twiddling my thumbs, finding work for me to do. And I don't like that. Whereas if I'm at home, I can at least catch up on all the other projects that I'm working on while waiting for the other projects. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really tired of how work as a whole, not just for me, but I'm talking for everyone. They overlook people that need advancement, and then they, look at you funny when you're like, but, why are you leaving? I mean... And then, here's the thing that pisses me off. Companies that are underpaying you and underappreciating you, then you say you're going to leave, and then suddenly they come out and they're like, well, we can, match the pay and everything. And I'm like, dude, it's too late. I've been dealing with this for months, and now you only want to offer me because I'm actually out the door. Here's the funny thing. They, apparently, some people at work were like, thinking like, oh, well, Chief might be a flight risk based on some of the things we've seen him talk about. And, his LinkedIn is getting a lot more activity on there. He's posting out of nowhere. And I'm sitting there like, if you're that worried about me being a flight risk, how about you pay me more? Give me the title and all that I've been asking for. It's simple as that. But I think a lot of people are in that same boat too. And that's why I tell people, actually I was talking to a young man that hit me up, asked for me to do a one-on-one so he could, it was an assignment for his school to talk to a professional. And I told him, know your worth. You are going to get taken advantage of by some companies where they're not going to pay you what you're worth because they're going to think that you're just there and you're comfortable to stay. Companies expect loyalty from you, but they will never be loyal to you. That's why boomers made the mistake of selling their soul to the corporate world. The whole idea that boomers had of, well, we're going to work at one job for like 20, 30 years and then retire. And how many people got screwed over? But yeah, I mean, I just, you got to look out for number one. And if I work for a place that's not going to let me grow my career, my income as well, because let's be honest, we all got bills. At the end of the day, it's just a job paying my bills. And you're not willing to support me in my efforts to, one, grow in my career and the knowledge for my career, and I have to do that myself, then I'm gonna go do this elsewhere. And what blows my mind is, I don't think a lot of, management, beyond my direct manager, really knows how influential I am in cybersecurity and stuff. It's blown people away when they get to, like, I don't go around work telling people I'm a content creator. Other people at work say, you know, he's got like 400,000 followers. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah. What do you talk about? Cybersecurity, Linux, gaming on Linux, tinkering, home labbing. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I accidentally became popular. I never had any intention to be a content creator. I could rant about this forever. Exactly, I've been starting to see corporate politics directed at me, and it's just becoming too much. I had problems with my license and couldn't make the 1-hour commute to get to work daily, and they expected me to still come to office. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. And there's no reason for this return to office bullshit. There really isn't. The only reason companies are doing this whole return to office, you have to be in the office, is because management themselves feels like they are so inadequate, they are so worthless, that they can't really do anything unless they're able to, you know, be there to, like, micromanage you and stuff. Just ignoring the number question? What number question? I'm not seeing a number question. But yeah, I'm just so tired of office politics and this ivory tower approach that leadership has, where they're like, yeah, we should all go return to office, and they're like, yeah, this is gonna be great, and I'm like, no, you're just trying to justify your own value, because the honest truth is, there's a saying that we have: those who can't do, manage. The honest truth is, you ever look at, like, the layoffs that happen at a lot of these companies? Not everyone is a developer, or, you know, like, actually, like, you know, the workforce general. When you look into a lot of these layoffs, it tends to be middle management. Because they realize, oh, you're just a dude reporting to another dude to to have other dudes report to you. Well, if we just cut that layer out, there's a whole bunch of fat removed. We'll just have the dudes that reported to you report to the dude that you were reporting to. Boom! Millions saved per year. Because at the end of the day, I hate to say it this way, there are some great managers, do not get me wrong. But management is actually more replaceable than the people doing the actual work. There's a lot more institutional knowledge in the actual workforce than the management. Whereas the management just has to be there to, you know, provide cover and direction for the rest of the team that really just comes up from above them. I never want to be in management. Unless I'm a project manager. I'm okay with project management. People management, F that. But yeah, that's my rant. That's my rant. And we got to show off my, you know, project over here. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with what I've managed to make so far with Penguin Overlord, as this project is called. Like, look at this. In the amount of time I've been talking, there's gaming news that came out from Polygon, PC Gamer, GameSpot. There's, you know, regular news stories. I literally can, like, look at my own news feeds now in my own server and start seeing the stories that I actually want to read and everything, for the most part. The workforce can learn to manage, the manager cannot manage to learn. Exactly. Do you know how many times, like, don't get me wrong, I like my manager. He's awesome. He's probably one of the 2 best managers I've ever had in my life. Okay? He doesn't understand a lot of the stuff where I keep having to explain to him the things that I have to do. And he's like, could you explain to me what this issue is, or, you know, where we're at with this project? And I'm like, dude, I've been explaining the same thing. This vendor is effing up. I can't do it because they have this F up over here. Once I get it, then I can do these things. But yeah, I'm very happy with the Penguin Overlord. I'm gonna be adding some features in there. I need to kill that Bridgie. That's funny. But yeah, we have the, you know, Penguin Overlord. I'm gonna have the new features in there. Ryan in the server was talking about how he wants to get UK Parliament added in there. HBX was talking about how they want to make a quiz, feature in there. So they showed me another open source project that I could probably fork some of the code and improve upon because it was MIT licensed. I just had to look into the nuance of taking an MIT licensed product and allowing it to be compatible with my Mozilla Public License 2.0 projects. I mostly use MPL 2.0 for a lot of my things. Not that I'm opposed to the GNU, but I find MPL 2.0 is more compatible with corporate uses, but still allows it open source that they have to contribute back. So I think Mozilla made a good license there, but there's going to be more features in here. Like one of the features I definitely want to do is, so I use the Me6 bot for, managing my server. And, so we have the welcome, newbies, over here. Tomato sauce recall issued over Deadloop Potch. Wow. But yeah, so, you see the welcome newbies, and then there's the welcome wagon where, you read this stuff. And then you're supposed to click the roles. Well, I've been finding, and people have made quite a few tickets, that the reaction role is not always working. So I'm going to probably create the capability for this all to be replaced by my bot to more reliably add the roles. How do you enter the Discord server? Link in bio. Or discord.chiefgeek3d.com. There's a 302 redirect. So the link in bios for that, and then you can join in. Once you join, you can click any of the reaction roles here to start getting alerts for all the platforms there. I am going to be working on another project called Threadwalker, which is going to be an automation to monitor my Blue Sky and Mastodon and then post to my Discord and Matrix servers. So Matrix is another thing we have. I'm building in automations over there. So Star Demon posts in the general over here. The content alerts are in their own channel now. So, yeah. I'm gonna be revamping, well, not revamping, but improving features inside the Matrix server as well to try to be as mirrored as possible to Discord, even though there's not a feature parity between them. So there'll be a lot of cool things coming about. I'm working as best as I can to improve the overall community. I really like this tool I made for Radioheads. It's gonna, post ideally, I have to make sure it's running and everything, but the idea is that every 12 hours a new solar weather report should be coming out, which should be great. So there'll be more tools, there'll be more things coming on. I'm going to see about maybe having an LLM in there that once I build my LLM server to be able to interact with it in certain ways. Currently I don't do that because of API limitations. I don't want to really pay too much for an LLM. You can easily go broke. I know I'm paying... on top of ChatGPT, I might move that over to Claude, but I'm paying GitHub Copilot Pro $10 plus another $10 to $20 a month for extra premium requests, because I get 300 premium requests per month. That's, Claude and all that stuff. And then I pay 4 cents per request after that. So I'm paying $10 to $20 on top of that to help me code and all that. And it's been worth it for a lot of the things I do. But anyway, it is about 10:30 right now, so I am going to be, calling it a little early because I do want to get to bed a little bit earlier. I was up till like 3 in the morning coding, Penguin Overlord. I'm going to be doing some more improvements. Of course, if there's any features you think or requests that we should do into Penguin Overlord, let me know in the Discord and I will see about getting it done. And then eventually I will see about recreating a lot of these features into the Matrix server. I know there's not a lot of people in the Matrix server compared to the Discord server. I think there's like about 100 people in there versus the 1,000 that are in the Discord. But I think it'll be great. I'm working on things to make it more interactive, more fun, and more community focused. But yeah. So thank you all for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on all of my socials. I'm on Blue Sky, Mastodon, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and yeah, of course, TikTok. And then, of course, we do have the Discord and the Matrix server that I mentioned. The links are in bio if you didn't see them in chat. And I will see you all tomorrow for the next stream. I stream Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesday evenings, generally around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take. But thank you all for joining me. If you're over on Twitch, stick around for the raid. Otherwise, stay safe. And I love all y'all, and happy hacking. See you tomorrow.